Welcome to Milwaukee County Stadium for the NFL's longest continuous rivalry, the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Well, the inevitable has happened in Detroit. Darryl Rogers, Lions head coach since 1985, will not be on the sidelines today. He was fired last Sunday. Rogers has been replaced on an interim basis by the team's defensive coordinator, Wayne Fontes.
Well, I'm very excited about it. Something that I've waited for 13 years, and I'm just sorry that it had to happen this way, to come in as an interim coach and have 5 games to get something done. And I feel very saddened about my boss, Coach Rogers, and had a tremendous conversation with him about the situation I'm in right now, and he's wishing me all the luck in the world.
And good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Brown, along with Gary Finsick. And Gary, Wayne Fontes is the story in Detroit. And with him at the helm today, the Lions players have all said this is the start of their second season.
Well, Wayne Fontes does not want to be the interim coach. He wants to be the coach for this year and for many years to come. He feels he has the respect and the confidence of the players, but that means that they have to win for him. If you look at their schedule for Wayne Fontes' second season, all of the games are in the NFC Central. He has to win against the Green Bays, the Tampa Bays, and probably pull off an upset against Minnesota or Chicago to keep the job.
Gary Fontes is not by himself as the new kid on the block. Lindy Infante, the head coach here in Green Bay, has been the head coach for all but 11 games. And despite his 2-9 mark, he says, hey, I'm not ready to throw in the towel in 1988.
Well, Coach Infante does not want to experiment yet. He may later on in the season if they continue to lose. The defense has played well. It's the offense that's had problems, particularly in the turnover area. It took this team from a promising team in 1988 to a has-been team and a promising team maybe in 1989.
Perhaps a crazy question, but both teams identical 2-9 marks. Is there such thing as pressure on them in this game today?
Hey, anytime you lose, for players and coaches there's a lot of pressure because you've got to win.
Typical late autumn afternoon here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Raw weather indeed, 37 degrees, forecast cloudy. Detroit has won the coin toss. They will receive. Kicking off for the Packers, Dale Dawson. And back deep, Stephen Starring and Randall Morris. And we're underway, Milwaukee County Stadium. And this is Morris in the end zone, elects to stay there. So the Lions will start at first and 10 from their own 20. And this is Rusty Hilger. He'll be quarterbacking the Lions. The defense he'll be facing, Alfonso Carricker, Blaze Winter, and Robert Brown. Linebacking core, John Anderson, Brian Noble, Johnny Holland, and Tim Harris. And the secondary, one of the better ones in the league indeed, Mark Lee, Dave Brown, Tiger Green will be starting in place of Mark Murphy, his second consecutive start, and Ken Stills. Rusty Hilger, first and 10 for the Lions at their own 20. Carl Bland in motion. Play action. And it's incomplete. Looked to be a little confusion on the offensive end there.
For Jones, incomplete.
Backs and receivers for the Lions. We mentioned Rusty Hilger, of course, at the quarterback spot. He'll be paired with Gary James and James Jones, the running backs. Carl Bland in place of Pete Manley, inactive today because of an injured foot. Gary Lee and Pat Carter. Offensive line, Lomas Brown, Glover, Mott, Malinchek, and Salem. This will be second and 10 for the Lions. Just underway. And the handoff for no gain goes to James Jones as he's hit in the backfield. And this Green Bay defense, which has been playing well all year long, starting off strong, Gary.
Well, one person you have to stop is Tim Harris. You see their head button there, and they're fired up because they recognize they've got a new young team with an interim head coach, and they've got to meet that emotional challenge that Fontes is going to bring to the Detroit Lions. And Wayne said that he lost 7 pounds during the week. He's lost 2 coaches, a head coach and an offensive coordinator. He's got 2 games in 10 days.
A 2-yard loss, 3rd and 12 out of the shotgun with 4 wide receivers. And Hilger complete to James out of the backfield. And James is up near the first down marker. Looks to be short by maybe about a yard. So Detroit will be forced into a punting situation. Jim Arnold to come on and do the punting.
One of the things that new interim offensive coordinator, Lou Carpenter, said is that they're going to try to go deeper than they have been when Bob Baker, the previous offensive coordinator, was at the helm. And that means we should see a few more bombs, deeper stuff than we've seen.
Sterling Sharp back deep for the Packers to receive. And Arnold gets it away just in time. Sharp had the ball and it came loose. It looks like Ken Stills did recover it in time. A 35-yard punt by Jim Arnold. No return. So the Packers will take over 1st and 10.
Well, Tim Harris came close to blocking that punt. Good coverage by the Detroit Lions, and boy, that was just didn't look it into his body. And Ken Stills made a great play there to pick it up to prevent the turnover, which again has been plaguing the Packer team all season, but in particular the last 3 weeks.
Don Mikowski at the helm for the Packers. 1st and 10. Perry Kemp in motion. Mikowski back to pass on 1st down. Complete across the middle to Keith Woodside. And Woodside across the 40 to about the 44-yard line. Don Mikowski, second-year quarterback out of the University of Virginia. And the defense that he'll be looking at are the Lions. Eric Williams, Jerry Ball playing better as of recent, and Keith Ferguson. Linebacking core, George Jameson playing well in place of the injured Jimmy Williams, Chris Spielman, Dennis Gibson, and Michael Kofer. And a secondary, Holmes, McNorton, Mitchell, and Blades. Pickup of 8 on the play, make it 2nd and 2 for the Packers. Mikowski the handoff, and no gain on the play. Great defensive effort on the part of the Lions. Jerry Ball pushing Brent Fullwood way back. The Packers offense, Keith Woodside, Brent Fullwood, the running backs, Perry Kemp, Sterling Sharp, the wide receivers, and Ed West, nicked up, but he's playing today. Offensive line, Ken Rutgers, Rich Moran, Mark Cannon, Ron Hallstrom, and Keith Euchre.
This team, the Detroit Lions defense, is last in the league on 3rd down conversion, so the Packers are going to hope to exploit that today.
3rd and 3, ball marked at the 43. 4 wideouts in. In motion, Patrick Scott, high snap. And Mikowski intended for Scott, had it for a second, but dropped it.
You know, one of the people he's going to be missing today is Phil Epps. Epps pulled a hamstring on Friday. They've lost him. They've lost Stanley, Walter Stanley, so they've really gotten thin at the receiving corps. Puts a lot of pressure on a young quarterback because you never know who you're working with. You don't have the sync.
Carl Bland back deep for the Lions. Don Bracken into punt for the Packers. And he loses the handle on the ball and still gets it away off the side of his foot. And penalty flags are thrown on the play. Bracken was really lucky just to get it away. A 29-yard punt. Penalty flags were thrown on the play.
Well, clearly they're going to be people all over the field, downfield early, and there's the signal. But he was very lucky, as you said, to get that ball off. They looked as though the Detroit Lions had a return on, and they could have blocked that punt pretty easily if they put any pressure on them.
Referee today, Fred Silva.
Klein, 1st down, timeout.
And that was Mike Weddington, one of the players downfield. No score, 1st quarter action here in Milwaukee. The likable Wayne Fonson, while in only 3 days worth of practice, fans cannot have expected him to have made many on-the-field changes. There's some other changes, Gary.
Well, he said too many people were lollygagging around for the national anthem. He said, I believe in America, and I want my players to show the respect that the national anthem should have. So you see they're all lined up on the line, proud, hand over hearts, a little discipline.
Back to live action. This is James Jones. A flag is thrown in the backfield as James Jones, the ball carrier. Ken Stills on the stop. One thing Wayne Fonts did say is he wanted to get James Jones more involved in the plays.
Number 30, illegal motion. 5 yards, still 1st down.
And that was James Jones.
Well, they wanted to get Jones into the offense, but he's got to stay in motion. They want to move them out in motion, and they want to have more formations, more motion. Felt they were too predictable, too bland for most NFL teams, and easy to defend when you just show a few formations.
Loss of 5 on that call. 1st and 15. Ball marked at the 24 of Detroit. In motion, Jones again. This is Gary James, the ball carrier. Good 2nd and 3rd effort, and James has broken free. A flag is thrown on the play, and he loses the ball. And a mad scramble for the loose ball. Detroit recovered, but there is a flag on the play. Boy, you needed a couple pair of eyes to follow that action.
What a play. And, you know, I see the Detroit line offense going downfield. That might have been a face mask call. We'll have to wait and see, but what a great run by Gary James. Now there seems to, you know, again, what's the call going to be? Fred Silva, the head referee.
Number 32 on the tackle, face mask, down the field, backed on, 5 yards, 1st down.
Boy, I tell you, those glasses of yours really help with your vision on the field, huh?
Hey, I can tell as a defensive back, you watch it come in, going inside. The 2 games that they've won this year, they've run for over 100 yards. And you can see Dave Brown grab him by the face mask, a 5-yard penalty, and now it's off for the races. And watch this, he breaks another tackle, cuts back across the field, and boy, he shows a lot of power, and then Lee strips him of the ball, and now it's a mad dash for the ball, and Detroit gets it.
And Detroit has him to 13, and Hilger loses the handle on the snap, and flags are thrown everywhere. Not a good start by either team right now, Gary.
Yeah, it looks a little bit sloppy, to say the least. And another penalty flag.
Pat Carter may be moving a little too soon that time.
Well, there were 3 flags on the field for us, so they almost all got him out.
Wayne Fonts wanted to see his players play more enthusiastically, but also execute properly.
Well, he's pretty aware of all the problems that Gerald Rogers had. And he knows that the fans, he only had 26,000 fans last week in Detroit. Does there seem to be some confusion here or what? You know,
pretty obvious.
Yeah, things have started too fast here. Even the referees aren't in the sync.
87 offense, illegal motion, decline, 2nd down.
And indeed that was Pat Carter, the rookie out of Florida State, tight end for the Lions. As you take a look at Lindy Infante, says he hasn't had any problems with the effort that his guys have been giving. Of course, we'll like to see a few more wins and points on the board. 2nd and 11 for the Lions in Packer territory at the 14. Jones in motion. Hilger back to pass, complete to Jones. And Jones is stopped at the 15, a gain of about 1. Brian Noble. And Brian Noble had an excellent game last week against the Colts.
You know, JJ, he says that, look, I got to get out in the open. I'd rather catch the ball and get into the secondary and go against little guys than have to run through the big guys and the defensive line. Now, to me, that's very strange when you talk to a fullback and he says, I'd rather catch the ball than run it. But, you know, so be it. He just wants to score as they all do.
3rd and 1. Ball marked at the 15 of the Packers. No score. 1st quarter action. Hilger out of the shotgun. And it's complete. Looks to be still a little short, a little shy, perhaps, of the 1st down. And Jones catching it out of the backfield, as you said, stopped by Ron Pitts.
You know, I bet you
if it is short, what would you do?
I don't think James Jones likes the spot on that. I think right now you're inside the 5. You got nothing to lose, but you want points. You know, you want to give your team some confidence, and here comes on the field goal team. I think it's a good call. You know, your first drive, Detroit has had a terrible time scoring. Last week was the first time that they've scored any points on the first drive of a game all year. So I think you want to get points on the board right away, psychologically get the lead.
Eddie Murray,
as well as in fact.
Eddie Murray attempting a 22-yarder. It's up, and it's good. So the Lions score first. Comes at the 9:09 mark of the 1st quarter. Detroit Lions on top, 3-zip. Lindy Infante's Packers find themselves trailing 3-0 to the Detroit Lions, 9:09 in the first quarter, and hasn't been very productive, his squad.
You know, he feels that they're executing, they're working hard, but these turnovers are just killing him. Just as if they can hold on to the ball to get some points. And last week they had an opportunity against the Colts to win the game and just couldn't put it in for the score to at least tie and get into overtime. So they're struggling right now, but he hasn't lost any confidence in his players.
Eddie Murray will be kicking off for the Lions. Back deep for the Packers, Brett Fullwood and Keith Woodside. And not a good kick by Murray, taken by Woodside at the 18. He gets it up to the 24-yard line.
Woodside returning to the 24-yard line.
So the Packers will start with relatively decent field position. To take a look at other scores around the NFL today. Don Majkowski. Coach Infante says he's going to stay with Majkowski right now, that he cannot put a lot of the blame on the Packers' woes on his shoulders.
Now I think everybody has to share in the futility of the offense, but none of these guys have given up on one another, and that's the encouraging sign.
Kemp in motion. Play action. And Majkowski complete, and it's now dropped. Perry Kemp had the ball, let it scoot through. So Commodore Perry Kemp, and now there is a flag that was thrown in the backfield, the Packers' backfield.
Looks like a roughing the passer on Majkowski. Not on him, but you know, he was a bencher.
Personal foul, loading the place, 15 yards, first down.
And that's Jerry Ball, the culprit that time. Ball had a career-high 8 tackles last week against the Colts, and said he's been playing very well, even with that weight.
You know, I saw Terry Bradshaw said last week when he was doing the game that Ball wanted to lose weight, and well, that's clearly into the face, 15 yards, and it's those kind of cheap penalties that sustain drives and lose ball games. You know, this defense has got to play fired-up football because this is their coach who has a chance to be a head coach.
So the Packers get field position at their own 39. 8:57 remaining in the first quarter. Lions on top 3-0. This is Woodside, the ball carrier. Flag thrown on the play. Woodside, good second effort. And he's trying to overcome a poor performance last week where he was actually pulled out of the game. Devon Mitchell on the stop. And the signal, the preliminary signal, goes against the Packers.
Mitchell made the tackle.
Offense, number 65. Holding. 10 yards, still first down.
Ron Holstrom.
You know, we talked to Coach Infante last night. I asked him, is there one area that you're either really disappointed in or you're really encouraged by? And he said, I'm not really disappointed in anything. However, I thought our offensive line would be stronger and more dominating than it has been this year.
That penalty makes it 1st and 20 for Green Bay. Out of the I formation. The handoff to Woodside. And Woodside up near the 33-yard line, tackled by Eric Williams.
Yeah, one of the things that Detroit lined up that time in a Bear defense look, they had 8 people within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and it's very difficult to run. I think you'll see that Majkowski will start audibling into some passes because a lot of times that puts your cornerbacks into one-on-one pass coverage. You got to try to exploit that opportunity.
Second and 16, ball on the 33.
2nd and 16 for the Pack. Woodside split to the right. Majkowski back to pass with time. Complete to Patrick Scott. And Scott is knocked out of bounds by Benny Blades at the 40. So a 7-yard pickup. Still a long ways from the first down.
You know, Patrick Scott dislocated his finger on Friday. Came back out to practice, so you have to believe that he's going to have somewhat of a difficult time catching the ball with his hands. You might see him try to catch with his body a little bit more, but, you know, he's out there because they're so thin at wide receiver, they need every healthy body they can use.
3rd and 9 situation for Green Bay. Four wideouts in. Out of the shotgun, Majkowski. And Mikowski has to run it himself. He's got the first down. Across midfield, Mikowski dives to about the 49. Bobby Watkins on the tackle, a 13-yard run. Now, Gary, you talked with Mikowski about learning how to slide, but he hasn't perfected it yet.
Well, one thing he knows, he had to get that first down, but, you know, it's not easy. A young quarterback, everybody sees Jim McMahon and all these other guys sliding around the field, but he knows he has to get the first down. His receivers are covered. Buys some time, and boy, he takes off, and this kind of quarterback kills you. He goes for the first down, and, you know, this is why he's so popular, because he's giving up his body for the team.
Heck of an athlete. First down for the Packers in Lions territory at the 47. Out of the I formation. Mikowski moving Woodside up. Back to pass on first down, and it's complete to Perry Kemp, and Kemp is down near the first down marker. Jerry Holmes rides him out of bounds.
Holmes needs to stop.
And it looks to be enough for the first down from here, so good alert play on the part of Commodore Perry
First
Kemp.
down for the Packers.
You know, his parents, Commodore Perry Kemp. It's quite a game, quite a name. He's pretty happy to be here. He was with Infante in Cleveland and in Jacksonville. Knows his system, feels comfortable with it.
I would think he's taking quite a few ribbons.
Maybe he's sailing on Lake Michigan. Who knows?
First and 10 at the 36 of Detroit. Packers on the march. Woodside, reverse. And Matthews dives up near the 30. Matthews knowing, feeling that he should have gotten more.
Well, you know, most of the times you have a wide receiver on reverse, you want him to go outside. And if you watch Mikowski here, you're not going to get a better block. They set it up, but Culper doesn't buy it, so he's fighting to get outside. Watch the block by Mikowski. Takes Culper down, and Matthews comes in and then falls over the quarterback. And no wonder he's unhappy. He should have had more yardage.
Give Mikowski an A for effort, though. 2nd and 6. Ball at the 32 of the Lions. Inside handoff to Fullwood. Fullwood diving near the first down. Let's see where they mark it. Dennis Gibson on the tackle.
Gibson made the tackle.
And Gary, that's yet another first down. So the Packers looking impressive on this series. Lindy Infante has to be pleased with the way his troops are playing right now as Perry Kemp trots off the field.
Ball on the 25. First down for the Packers.
1st and 10. Green Bay in Detroit territory. At the 25. And the handoff to Fullwood again. And Fullwood driving straight ahead. Near the 21-yard line, pickup of about 4.
Williams.
A lot of action around the NFL today. For an early report, let's check in New York with Brent Musburger.
James, the Chicago Bears have exploded to a 14-point lead on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Neil Anderson, who played in nearby Gainesville, Florida, with his 2nd touchdown in Tampa. 14-zip. Testaverde now 27 interceptions. Back to James.
Your former teammate, you said it was just a matter of time for him to play well, Gary. Neil Anderson.
Well, he's a great running back, and when they get that running game going, everything else works.
2nd and 5 for the Pack. This is Kemp in motion. Handoff to Fullwood. Fullwood across the 20 to about the 18-yard line. So Brent Fullwood getting a little action. We talked with Willie Pete, the running back coach, and he said that the running backs did come to him early in the year, Gary, to talk about getting the ball more, but he had to explain some things to him.
Well, he really did. He had to explain that, you know, a lot of times there's a one-back set, and that's why they moved Fullwood from halfback to fullback. And take a look at Willie Pete there. Of course, his son had a big day yesterday for USC against UCLA. Still in the running for a Heisman Trophy, and certainly on their way, hopefully, to a championship season.
4 wideouts in on 3rd and 2 for the Pack at the 18 of Detroit. Mikowski back to pass, looking for Aubrey Matthews. No flag on the play. Incomplete.
And the ball was tipped. Defense did a good job at the line of batting the ball, and they come away from the opportunity to get a first down inside the 20 and get some points. Instead, they have to set up for a field goal. Looked like Eric Williams, number 76, deflected that ball, and it just popped over the receiver after that.
Dale Dawson in to attempt the field goal, a 36-yarder. Dawson made both of his field goal attempts from 22 and 20 last week.
Dawson will attempt the field goal.
Snap, the hole, the kick. And it's no good. So Dawson starts off on the wrong foot for the Pack, missing a 36-yard field goal. And Buddy Ryan told us he had no problems getting rid of him. 3-0 Detroit. Chicago Bears feasting on the Buccaneers. Early first quarter action, 14-0. No score in the Minnesota-Indianapolis game. That ought to be a good matchup there. Chicago, 2-game lead over the Vikings, but the Vikings are playing well right now, Gary.
Really are, but they're still 2 behind, but they have a Monday night game, last game of the season, against the Bears.
3:27 remaining in the first quarter. Lions on top, 3-0. Hilger back to pass on first down, and it's complete for the first down to the left sidelines. Carl Blank, make that Jeff Chadwick.
Chadwick on a completion.
I'll tell you what, there's Dale Dawson, the kicker, missed a chip shot, made 2 last week, missed 2 against the Atlanta Falcons. And of course, they've had so many kickers coming in and out on every team around the NFL. He's got to know, hey, you miss those, you may not be around to see the snowfall in Green Bay.
Rusty Hilger, 4 for 5, 31 yards, all in the first quarter. 1st and 10 at the 31 of Detroit. Jones in motion. Handoff to Gary James. Flag on a play, and James running hard up to the 35-yard line. Gain of about 4, but there is a flag on a play.
James, the ball carrier.
David Brown,
Harris made the tackle.
alias Father Time, on the tackle.
Tim Harris jumped early, trying to guess and get in that backfield early, and I think they called it on him. Now you look at Rusty Hilger there, he's got a little hand warmer for his hands. See that?
Defense, number 97, offside, 5 yards, no first down.
There's Tim Harris. Not a good week for him. His father, God rest his soul, passed this week, and Harris attended the funeral just the day before yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Well, you can see he definitely jumped, got into the 30-yard line, and gives 5 easy yards to the Detroit offense.
Coach Lindy Infante said he expected Harris to play the game of his life, though. 1st and 5 for Detroit. Jones, the lone back. He's the ball carrier. Across the 40. Up near the 44-yard line. More than enough for the first down. Let's check in once again with Brent Musburger.
Well, James, Alonzo Highsmith inflicts a little pain in the house of pain, and Houston takes a 7-zip lead on the Cardinals right now. Let's go back to James.
All right, Brent.
First down.
The Houston Oilers, boy, are they playing some hard-hitting football.
And I'll tell you what, Neil Lomax out for Phoenix. It's going to be tough to win down there in Houston.
1st and 10 for the Lions at their own 44. 1:35 remaining in the first quarter. Lions on top, 3-zip. This is Gary James, and Gary James straight up the middle. That 35-yard run that James had earlier in the first quarter, the longest run from scrimmage for the Lions this year. Alfonso Carrick on to stop that time. And James has got to be loving the fact that he's getting the ball quite a bit.
Well, any running back wants the ball, but you know, everybody in Detroit wants to know, okay, what can they do in a few weeks to show that they're different offensively than what the former offensive coordinator Bob Baker did. They've got 2 tight ends in last play with 1 back. They've had 3 wide receivers with only 1 running back, so they're giving a little different look to the Packer defense.
And on this play, they operate out of the I formation, 2nd and 4. Carl Bland in motion. The ball carried, Gary James across midfield. James holds on to it. Good second effort. Gets down to the 45-yard line, and a flag is thrown
Flag on the play as James
at the site of the tackle.
Be looking for a face mask. That's usually what happens. How did I know that, James?
12 years of experience in the NFL.
Number 22, face mask on the tackle, 5 yards, first down.
No, you're getting run over by about a 280-pound guy or whatever. You know, you're just trying to grab anything. Here, nobody touches him, but see, he's got his head down. He doesn't know what he's grabbing, but then you feel metal, and then you got to let go, and you know you're going to get 5 yards.
Mark Lee, the 90-year veteran from Washington. Lions in Packers territory at the 40 specifically. 1st and 10. This is Jones. And Jones with a pickup of about 2 to the 38-yard line. And that should be the last play of the first quarter. John Anderson on the stop. So the Lions, on the strength of a field goal by Eddie Murray, lead at 3-0 over the Green Bay Packers.
Into the first period.
Coming to you from Milwaukee County Stadium.
So far, so good for Wayne Fonts. You know, he tried to get to his players through the stomach. He's bringing in lunch every week. And, you know, Infante tried to do that with donuts earlier year, but obviously those donuts went stale on him. In that booth, far to the right is Eric Hipple. He's behind the post. You can barely see him, but he's having some influence on what plays will be called today. And I think he's going to give it to J.J. James Jones quite a bit.
2nd and 8 right here. Start of the second quarter. Lions on top, 3-0. Carl Bland in motion. Hilger back to pass. And it's complete to Gary James out of the backfield, and he looks to be a few inches shy of the first down. David Brown pushes him out of bounds.
We're looking at Lou Carpenter right in the middle, and he is the interim offensive coordinator, was a receivers coach. And, you know, we talked to him, and he said, look, we've got to go downfield more. My philosophy is to look deep and come back short, where Bob Baker was looking short and going deep. And I think that Rusty Hilger, who was in with the Raider organization, he's more comfortable with that approach. He says, I want to make big plays get the team going, and I want to look deep, come back short rather than looking short and going deep.
And Hilger's confidence showing right now. 3rd and 1, actually 3rd and inches, out of the I formation, power formation. And this is Gary James. He's got the first down.
James, the ball carrier.
2-yard pickup by Gary James, stopped by Brian Noble. You know, the Lions have been averaging only 72 yards on the ground this year already. And here, just the start of the second quarter, 56 yards on the ground already.
Well, look at Chuck Long. Was he saying I'm hungry or what? He was grabbing his stomach, and, you know, I don't know what he was doing. But, you know, Chuck says I'm healthy, I'm ready to go. But and Wayne Fonts said, look, if Hilger doesn't do a good job, I'm going to have a short hook and put him in. But right now, he looks pretty comfortable. He's got the hat on, the gloves. He's got that's a nice-looking jacket. Maybe I can get one of those.
First down for the Lions in Packers territory at the 28. Carl Bland in motion. Play action. Going for Chadwick. And it's batted down. Chuck Cecil in on the coverage that time as well.
Chadwick, the intended receiver. Cecil covers in the play.
So Hilger airing it out, going up top for Jeff Chadwick.
Like we said, one of the things that Lou Carpenter, the offensive coordinator, wanted to do is go deep. And you're looking for the free safety position. They're just in the zone to the post. Do they get behind the free safety? And just a little bit. But Cecil bats it away. Good play. And, you know, you have to know where you're at in that end zone to know how much room you've got. That time, the rookie Cecil did a good job.
2nd and 10. Land in motion again. Hilger thrown in the direction of Stephen Starring. Now, I wonder if there was some confusion on the route that time.
I'll tell you one thing, there was a lot of pressure in his face, and you can't really appreciate it unless you're behind a line of scrimmage. You see that big rush coming because James was wide open in the flat, but I don't think that Hilger saw him.
Hilger, 5 of 8 for 38 yards. Interesting story here. He was practicing in California on a high school football field, hoping to get a call again.
Well, he says now he's been here 5 weeks, and he now has 2 coaches. So he's seen some changes in a short period of time.
3rd and 10. 3 wide receivers. Gary James also in the slot, out of the shotgun. Hilger flushed out of the pocket. Throwing to James Jones, and it's complete. Down near the first down marker, and James Jones says, hey, that's what I want to do. I want to catch more balls.
And that time he had John Anderson covering him. It was good coverage, but it was a good throw. Hilger, who really isn't that mobile of a quarterback, back there looking downfield, and then he has to get out of the pocket. Now he sees Jones over in the corner, one-on-one, man-to-man coverage, makes a nice catch, holds on to the ball, and appears to have the first down.
Close enough for a measurement. James Jones, 6'2", 230, 6-year veteran out of Florida. And there was definitely plenty, by half the ball for the first down. So the Lions.
First down for Detroit.
Wayne Font's got to be pleased with what's happening. Wayne Font said, hey, yeah, I'm going to get Jones more involved. You see, it's a little unusual for a fullback wanting to catch the ball more. Why so?
Well, because the guy usually weighs so much more than those DBs. And, you know, running backs get recognized normally by not how many passing yards they have, but how many running yards. And he says, look, I like to catch the ball. I don't mind running it, but I prefer to catch it. And he wants to get more involved in that passing offense. And it looks as though he's getting his wish so far today.
1st and 10 out of the pro set. Chadwick and Bland are the receivers. Ball marked at the 18 of Green Bay. James in motion. This is Randall Morris. And Morris grabbed around the ankles. Give the credit to number 96, Sean Patterson.
Patterson made the stop.
I make that Tony Page, and I'm sure Tony Page would be a little upset with me. I should know him well, having gone to my high school.
Like that, James, you look out there, and he must weigh about 50 pounds more than Randall Morris. You know, these guys, you know, people always look a lot bigger when they're in white uniforms, but some of these guys have been eating pretty well without the uniforms.
2nd and 8.
2nd and 8, pickup of 2. Carl Bland to the bottom of your screen. Lone back is Gary James. He's got the ball. And James running hard.
James, the ball carrier.
Down near the 13-yard line. Still about 3 yards shy of the first down.
Now we talked to Hank Buller, the defensive coordinator for the Packers. Last night he said, look, anybody would like to have these running backs. James, a good running back out of LSU. And you got James Jones, a big fullback. You got a pretty good offensive line. And it looks like today part of the game plan is to start using the talent they have, but they're mixing it up. That time again, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, only 1 running back. Then they come up with 3 wide receivers, and it causes a little bit of indecision on the defense. Right now, it seems the Packers are in a huddle with the referees.
And Fred Silva wants to have a little bit of a conference here. They've been doing some caucusing quite a bit today.
So far, things are still calm. You have a tendency, if you don't set the tone early, things get a little bit more angry in the second half. Now, the other thing you got to worry about, hey, these guys play each other in a couple of weeks, so, you know, whatever you do today, you got to remember, hey, I got to face this guy again in a couple of weeks, so if I want to get even, I got to wait for a couple of weeks rather than just the end of the game.
Third and 5. Three wide receivers in. And the handoff to Gary James. James trying to outrun the pressure. Doesn't get it. Drop back at the 15-yard line. Loss of 3 on the play. Ken Stills. And on that play, James Jones was actually talking to Rusty Hildreth about what he might want to call. There seemed to be some confusion.
I think they might have been audibling on that play, but Ken Stills does a good job of reading the play as a run, and then he comes outside and doesn't allow James to get outside and makes the play on top of it, and then he gets up and he starts headbutting everybody. You know, like, I didn't get enough action yet, so I'm going to hit you in the head and the other guy.
Eddie Murray attempting a 32-yard field goal. He's good from 22 earlier. It's up, and it's good. There is a flag on the play.
Flag on the play.
You know, Eddie Murray has only missed 1 kick the entire season, and that was for 52 yards.
His longest being a 48-yarder, and he'll have to do it again.
He feels confident. I talked to him before the game.
Number 3, offense. Before the snap, ball start, 5 yards, key to 4th down.
Guilty party that time, Harvey Salem, 6-year tackle out of California.
See whether or not we can see any motion. Yeah, you can see he lifts up. He's at the top of your screen, and that's going to cost him 5 yards. You know, he's kicking off that infield. Usually the Brewers have an infield there, and it's about 6 inches higher than the rest of the field, and I'm sure it's pretty sloppy. Shouldn't be an easy kick.
A 37-yard attempt. Murray is 8 for 8 from this range. Make it 9 for 9. So Eddie Murray booting the Lions out in front. They'll take it. Lions lead the Packers by the score of 6-0. Detroit Lions, starting what they call their second season, lead the Green Bay Packers 6-0 in the second quarter. and it's been all Eddie Murray, a 22-yarder and a 37-yard field goal, and the Lions lead it by the score of 6-0. Sustained drives, looking good on the offensive end, the Lions, that is. And Gary, a big change from when Bob Baker was here.
Well, so far they still haven't scored a touchdown, but Pete Manley, who's not playing today, told us a little story. He said, you know, you see head coaches on the sideline or the offensive coordinator, they get a whole big piece of paper and they're picking this play and that, and they got their trick plays. He said Bob Baker used to have something like this, little piece of paper like this, and then he'd ask, what do you guys think about this? And, you know, so they should have an expanded game plan offensively today from that.
Well, the Lions looking good so far. And Forward takes it with 1 foot in the end zone, decides to bring it out across the 15. He will not make it to the 20-yard line. So the Lions, good aggressive coverage on that kickoff. Keeps Forward inside the 20 to about the 16-yard line.
You know, I always felt when you play the Detroit Lions, and this could be a very prejudiced point of view since I play with the Bears, but if you get on top of them early, they have a tendency to kind of play your style of ball the rest of the day. But boy, if they get on top, I don't care what their record was, they can be very tough. You see Cleveland, boy, they have got to get out of the slump they've been in the last few weeks.
1st and 10 for the Packers, operating from their own 17, down by 6 points. Forward in motion. McCaskey tripping on the way back. Complete to Woodside across the 20. And Woodside looks to have died enough for the first down. Chris Spielman on the tackle. A little help from Bruce McNorton.
Yeah, we talked to Willie Peake, the running back coach for the Packers, and we're talking about how the adjustment's been for certain running backs. And here's a rookie, 33 Woodside. He came out of Texas A&M. Similar type of passing offense. And, you know, we talked to him, and he said, yeah, this is exactly the type of offense that I wanted to be in. And, you know, there's Willie Peake, and boy, he's got to take care of all the fragile egos that a running back will have. And last week, Woodside was taken out of the game.
Only 6 carries for 7 yards. Bad day. He wants to make up for it. 1st and 10. McCaskey back to pass. And Woodside takes his eyes off the pass. Very catchable ball. And he knows it.
Woodside, the intended receiver.
Well, sometimes, again, this is a raw day, and you've got to win. It's chilly out. You've really got to work hard because it's a little slick. And you see there, the ball is perfectly thrown. He takes his eye off the ball and bounces up in the air. And sometimes you have something like that happen, and the ball gets intercepted. So gets a break there.
2nd and 10.
2nd and 10 for the Pack. Woodside. Split to the top of your screen. And McCaskey throws complete to Sharp. There's a flag on a play. Sterling Sharp, with more than enough yardage for the first down, stopped by Bruce McNorton. We'll await the signal from Fred Silva. And it'll go against Detroit.
Number 94, defense. Illegal use of the hands to the mask. 5 yards, first down.
And, you know, when that play got done and the flag was thrown right by Mikowski, he kind of thought it was holding, and he got a little frustrated. But that time they got a break, and it was against the Lions, number 94 Strawthers. And went to a 4-man rush probably that time to put some pressure on him. Hasn't exactly been a smooth.
They'll take the of the play, and it's first down from that spot. First down.
Okay, Fred, it still hasn't been a really clean first half. A lot of penalties, kind of sloppy play, but these teams are just trying to get into the groove, and that's what you try to do in the first quarter, try to feel them out. How are the defenses and offenses going to make the adjustments that you present to them? And looks as though hopefully the teams are now going to settle down a little bit.
Don Mikowski 5 of 8 for 51 yards. 1st and 10. Ball marked at the 42 of Green Bay. This is Patrick Scott in motion. And Mikowski gets rid of it to bring Forward, and Forward goes nowhere. Good pressure, good coverage by the Detroit defense, led by Dennis Gibson.
Did a good job that time. Cofer came in, put pressure on Mikowski, then he dumped it off, but Gibson was right there. And this is really, I think, the strength of the defense for the Detroit Lions. They've got some good young linebackers in Gibson and Spielman. They've got the strength outside, even though Jimmy Williams is hurt. Jamison has been doing a good job in replacement for him. And then Mike Kofer, who is one of the leading sackers from the linebacking position in the NFC.
Ball on the 38.
2nd and 14, ball on the 38 of Green Bay. Woodside in motion. And Mikowski having to fight his way out of the pocket and is wrapped up, thrown to the ground by Michael Kofer. And Kofer adds to his team leading total of 9.5, make it 10.5 sacks for Michael Kofer.
You know, Mike Kofer is one of the better linebackers in the NFL. He doesn't get the credit of the Lawrence Taylor. You see him at the bottom of the screen. He's out in a three-point stance, sheds his block, goes inside, but he doesn't quit. Here these other guys chasing him around, and look at, he goes from one end of the field to the other end of the field and gets his sack. Boy, that's when you know you've earned it. And you can see it after that. He knows it. Hey, I didn't quit.
Lions defense playing inspired. 3rd and 18 for the Packers. 8:49 remaining in the half. Nickel defense by the Lions. Mikowski going up top, looking for Scott. He's got him. Mikowski goes up top and finds Patrick Scott, second-year player from Grambling, a 29-yard pass play.
Well, Patrick Scott is in the slot here. He's the lower of the two wide receivers in your screen. They're going against a zone, and he finds the open place, but more importantly, Mikowski does. Throws a nice pass, makes the sure catch, and gets us the first down for him. You know, they feel that they just play better for some reason, better in Milwaukee. They haven't won a game in Green Bay since 1985, not counting the strike games.
Ball marked on the 37 of Detroit. 1st and 10 for the Packers. Forward, the ball carrier, looking for the hold. He's got some room. And forward, down near the 30-yard line, stopped by Benny Blades, the rookie from Miami.
You know, Benny Blades and Spielman, well, these are two high draft choices that they hope will be in that Detroit Lion defense for a long time to come. And, you know, Benny's had some good success, had some injuries, and I think that, you know, you get into the last part of the season, this now extends well beyond where they had to play in terms of college. That's really a test for them to make sure you still stay up every single week. It's even harder when your team's not going to the playoffs.
2nd and 4 out of the eye. This is Woodside, and Woodside grabbed from behind.
You know, any side of this team for the Lions is going to play inspired football. It's got to be guys like Eric Williams, their number 76, and Gibson and Ball, because they know this is Font's big opportunity to stay head coach. And they liked him. They like him a lot, even though statistically they haven't got great numbers. They feel he's instilled some discipline that they really needed. And if they don't play well, he'll be seeking a job elsewhere.
Give the credit on the tackle to Eric Williams. Brings up a 3rd and 4 situation for the Packers. Packers 2 of 4 third down conversions. Inside handoff to Paul Caruth, and he's going nowhere. And George Jamison, who's played absolutely excellent football since Game 6, replacing Jimmy Williams on the stop.
It's a nice play there. I think he anticipated what it was going to be. Made a nice read, filled the hole real quick, and came down and made the tackle. And now it looks as though they're going to go for that first down instead of trying for the field goal, which would be well out of Dawson's range.
On 4th and 6, ball marked at the 33. And the Packers want to go for it. 3 wide receivers in. Nickel defense for the Lions. This is Paul Caruth. He's going to pass it. Looking for Mikowski. And Mikowski just beyond his outstretched arms. Not a bad looking play.
I like the trick play. They had a guy in motion. They gave it. It looked like you could tell pretty quickly, though, that it was going to be some type of pass because Caruth really didn't disguise it very well. But watch number 30, Paul Caruth. See, he goes back so you know that something's happening. He doesn't give the play an opportunity to develop, and you see Ferguson chasing him, and you can see it's not a bad throw, but he just didn't give it opportunity. Watch Wayne here. All right, boys, you did the job. Yeah, there's a happy guy. every play is a big game, is a big play for him.
Brent Musburger talked about it during the NFL Today show with Wayne Fontes, the fact that he's got to battle a couple of obstacles to become the head coach here, and we'll talk about that in a minute as the penalty flags rain from everywhere as Detroit on 1st and 10 tries to get a play off, but illegal motion.
5 yards, still first down.
And again, Wayne Fontes arrested for drunk driving earlier, but there was also some drug suspicion brought up, Gary.
Well, he said 5 days later they found cocaine in his car. It was impounded for 5 days, and then they came up with it. And Wayne said, look, I was very concerned about what that was going to do for me and my image, so I called Pete Rozelle, and I agreed to weekly random testing, drug testing. We'll talk about it after this play.
1st and 15 for the Lions at their own 28. And there's a penalty flag on the play as James Jones is the ball carrier.
And they started again early. It's going to be 1st and... Boy, it looked like illegal procedure to me. You know, getting back to Wayne Fontes, he agreed to weekly random testing. And he's done it for a year, over a year now, a year and 1 week. And that should clear the air as to whether or not he has any drug problem.
The entire offensive line, illegal motion.
Get them all.
2nd down.
Get them all, you know. Hey, you know what? And all those guys are happy because they say it's not against me.
If you do it,
we're all going to do it.
Do it as a team.
And you know what? You got to wonder, maybe Hilger called it on the wrong snap count.
2nd and 15.
Chadwick and Bland to the bottom of the screen. 2nd and 14 for the Lions. Ball at their own 28. Stephen Starling split to the right. And this is Jones, the ball carrier. And Jones, good yardage all the way up to the 38.
Jones, the ball carrier.
10-yard gain by James Jones before being stopped by John Anderson. And Fontes was quite honest when he said he really thought that that series in his life, the DWI and the drug charge, was going to kill any hope of becoming a head coach.
Well, you know, anybody is embarrassed about the DUI, but he was really enraged about the unfairness and the way it was treated and how articles were generated without even checking with him. But he cleared the air, he hopes anyway, by calling up Pete Rozelle, demanding, volunteering that he goes on this weekly test, and he hopes that it's not going to be held against him, and I'm sure that Mr. Ford's aware of it.
3rd and 4 for the Lions. Lions on top, 6-0, 4:19 remaining in the first half. Hilger. Sack. Flag thrown on the play. Blaze Winter got in and wrapped up Rusty Hilger.
Blaze Winter makes a sack.
Well, it looks like a face mask call. Make sure you get it right. God, well, this drives players nuts, you know. Just give us the call. Why do we have to have a conference every time, you know?
Talk about a real participatory style by the officials out on the field.
Yeah, let's make sure I saw this, I saw that, but what did you really see?
On the tackle, it was a face mask, 5 yards. It's still 3rd down.
Look at Blaze Winter. He couldn't believe the call. He got a sack taken away. Watch number 68. They're running some little stunts inside. Good coverage by the secondary. After the play, Winter knows, yeah, I got a sack. High-five him as high as you could jump. A guy who weighs that much. And it's all for naught because it was a penalty and takes away that sack, takes away that statistic.
And Detroit on 3rd and 4 burns a timeout. Hilger wants to talk it over with Wayne Fontes. Right now the Lions still nursing a cushion of 6 points. Good crowd on hand during the start of deer hunting season here in Milwaukee at County Stadium. The Packers trailing the Detroit Lions 6-0. 3:48 remaining in the half. James Brown along with Gary Finsick, 3rd and 4 for the Lions out of the shotgun. Hildreth looking for Jones. Too low. Incomplete. And James Jones was there. The pass was on the grass.
Yeah, I don't care how low you go to dig that one out. It was just a little bit short.
Jim Arnold into punt again.
Arnold will do the punting. Sharp is in the new position.
Back deep, Sterling Sharp. Jim Arnold, first in the NFC in punting, having a good year. And he gets off a beauty this time. Sharp signals for the fair catch at the 25. Good high punt. A 36-yard punt by Jim Arnold. The Packers will take over when we come back.
You're taking a look at Randy Wright, the backup quarterback for Green Bay, and one of the problems that Packer backers feel across the country is that they really perhaps have not found the quarterback yet to lead them back to the promised land. Randy has started out the season and had a groin injury against Tampa Bay and hasn't really gotten much playing action since.
On the 25.
Because of that man there, Don Mikowski, and not that Mikowski has been setting them on fire, but he certainly can scramble a lot more effectively. First and 10, ball at the 25 of Green Bay. 3:36 remaining in a half. Mikowski to pass, to run, near the 30. Michael Kofer on the tackle. Chicago increases their lead over the Bucks.
Well, when you play against Testaverde, every defensive back in the country wants to play against him because of all the interceptions he throws.
And don't forget, coming up at halftime, we'll go to New York for the NFL Today. Brent Musburger, Herb Cross, and Dick Butkus. They'll bring up today on everything. This is 2nd and 5. Mikowski. And it's complete to Sharp, who comes back and then returns near the first down marker. Looks to have enough for the first down. So Sterling Sharp on the comeback route. Michael Kofer on the tackle.
Well, Sterling Sharp is really one of the players they need to get more production out of him. He's your first-round pick. Take a look at McNorton. Bruce McNorton is down. I don't know quite what happened to him, but he was in on the tackle.
McNorton, not a very big ball player either, Gary, at 5'11", 175. As you take a look there at Sterling Sharp.
You can't afford to be very big these days. You know, defensive backs are actually probably getting smaller on the outside, bigger on the inside of the safety positions because of the speed that people like Sterling Sharp have. I mean, you have to be able to not only have great breakaway speed, but you have to be able to backpedal and then get into your break and turn and run the other way.
I know when Darryl Rogers was here, we were talking about the fact that McNorton looked more like a track star, real skinny legs. But he said, hey, the quickness serves him well. Good rangy ball player.
Well, they don't care how their bodies look as long as they got the speed. They can be fat and squatty, I'm sure. You don't see many guys with speed to do that. Take a look at the replay here. Maybe we can see what happened to Bruce McNorton, number 29. Sterling Sharp just jogged out. He ran kind of a real slow little pattern, and now he's just trying to get some yardage, taking it upfield, and McNorton doesn't really look cute. Oh, there you can see there he gets bent over backwards. Boy, that's a painful injury. Take one more. It's at the finish of this play, and look, number 55, Kofer, comes in. Hope he's all right. I think something like that, you get bent over backwards, you know, your knees as you get older just don't quite have that flexibility. Kind of stuns you a little bit. You can see there, he knows exactly what happened to him.
Well, let's get a little sneak preview of what's coming up at halftime. Some other scores. Let's check in with Brent Musburger.
Right, James, we got a lot of scores and highlights from around the league, but let me get you up to date on the Bears. Watch Tom Zach to Brad Muster on the screen, and Muster runs like a #1 draft choice. Now watch Neil Anderson, 35, get downfield and help him out with a block. James, right now it is Chicago easy. Let's go back to you in Milwaukee.
And Gary, you were talking about Mike Tomczak. You said Mike Tomczak really has been playing extremely well. Were you surprised by that?
I'm really not. He went to see a sports psychologist in the offseason at Ohio State. He's 5-0 against Tampa. And I think, you know, as long as Mike Ditka stays off his back a little bit, he's very productive. A lot of teams would like to have a backup quarterback with the talent of Mike Tomczak.
First and 10 for the Packers at their own 36. 2:35 remaining in the half. Mikowski across the middle to Keith Woodside, across the 40. Pickup of about 5 yards.
The Packers look as though they may be going without a huddle. trying to prevent Detroit from putting in their nickel package, but they don't seem to be doing it quickly enough.
In a modified version of the hurry-up offense then, 2nd and 5 for Green Bay. 6 defensive backs in for the Lions. And Mikowski is intercepted. Benny Blades, so the rookie from Miami, gets a pick against Don Mikowski.
Well, that time they were just in man-to-man coverage. Benny Blades in man-to-man across the field. You can see he's got this red all over, and it was a badly thrown ball. And if he hadn't stumbled on that field, he clearly would have been running down the sideline for a touchdown, and he knows it.
Intended receiver was Clint Didier. Instead, Benny Blades comes away with the pick.
Yeah, you think the Lions are a little enthusiastic? Fonts is there, hugging Benny Blades. Says, hey, this team wants to play for me, and so far they have been.
And enthusiastic about this field position at the 38 of Green Bay with 1:59 remaining in the half. Bland in motion. And Scott Williams running hard to the right.
Scott Williams, Noble made the stop.
Good pickup by Scott Williams that time. 3rd-year player out of Georgia.
That time they ran the Washington Redskins signature play, the counter OT. You have players going down one way, the left side of the line coming around the other way. It's a confusing play if your defensive linemen and your linebackers don't read it correctly.
2nd and 5 for the Lions at the 33 of Green Bay. And this is Williams again. And Williams pulling straight ahead near the 30-yard line. Call it the 31, pickup of about 2.
But you know, this time they had, again, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. And one of the interesting things, they seem to be using a lot of backs. They've got Jones in there, Page, Williams, Gary James.
Number 2, Detroit.
There's the time remaining in the first half. Detroit on top, 6-0. Coming up at halftime, Brent Erb and Dick with all the scores and highlights, and Dick will relive one of the infamous moments in NFL history on this, the 10th anniversary of the fumble heard around the world. Any idea?
Philadelphia against the Giants.
We'll check to find out if you're correct. Coming up at halftime.
It changed the way people played at the end of the game to prevent that from happening. A fumble costing a team a game. Now they put the wide receiver behind the quarterback.
Well, you wouldn't be any good on the game show, huh? 3rd and 2 for the Lions. Page and Williams, the backers, and flags everywhere. Looks like...
Man, Lomas Brown wanted a piece real fast. He wanted to block down so fast, he was a clear second ahead of everybody else.
Ball start, 75, offense, still 3rd down.
Not that, I don't think he got the block. Take a look at Lomas Brown, he's a left tackle. He's going to down block. I think I got a second on you, and he still missed the block. You know, hey, that's not doing the job. Miss Patterson, who was also taking an inside charge. I have a feeling he anticipated that. Wanted to make sure he got a good start, but that time a little too quick.
Makes it 3rd and 7. James Jones, the lone back, out of the shotgun. Pilger going up top, looking for Williams. Is it caught?
He's got it.
And it is. So Scott Williams on a 32-yard pass from Rusty Hilger.
I'll tell you, they're going to fight for the ball for possession, but tie goes to the receiver, and they've already made their decision.
So Steels may as well let go with it as well as Green.
Well, but you're going to fight for a while because you want to make sure that they know. There's no way you can tell by instant replay who had that ball down the bottom. You can see Tiger Green is not too happy, but everybody knows tie goes to the receiver. You watch Rusty Hilger lays it up perfectly. And boy, it's just a fight for the ball, and let's see. Whoa, it's a tie, but you can see Williams goes back and fights for the ball because it looked as though Tiger Green had it. And then they threw a penalty flag on top of it. And look at Wayne. He's happy, but he hasn't lost control. Timeout. He knows he can waste precious moments, but that's their last timeout. And it looks as though they called a penalty after that. Maybe somebody had some unkind words for the referees.
Good point you made about Wayne Fonts staying on top of the action. Red Auerbach calls that a sense of where you are in the game.
First and goal, ball to 2.
And here you have no timeouts left. You've got 39 seconds, so you got plenty of time here to run a play or two. But I'm sure they'd love to have a timeout. And now you hear the crowd getting up a little bit. That was anybody's ball. And both DBs broke on it. They had the free safety coming over, and Tiger Green was there, but it was really an excellent catch by Scott Williams.
53-65, eligible position. The last play stands as called.
It looks as though they might have had a replay, but boy, it would have been very difficult in any camera angle to see who really came down with that ball. But it looks as though to me that Scott Williams had it with Tiger Green, and it always goes to the receiver.
First and goal, ball marked at the 1. Hilger. Incomplete. Intended receiver, believe it or not, Eric Sanders. 6'7", 280-pound left tackle.
Well, they saw Baldinger catch it last week for the Colts. And if you watch Rusty Hilger, he's rolling out, and there is no one there. He probably could have walked in, but he saw him so wide open. And you know what? That was just a drop ball. Eric Sanders has his opportunity, and he goes, oh, Wayne is not a happy guy. Boy, you have that opportunity. You hope that that big tackle would make himself a hero and catch the ball, but instead, it's second down.
Sanders was eligible on that play. Second and goal. Play action. And Hilger was going to Sanders again.
Boy, I tell you what, they're trying to make him a hero, and that time he was covered. They did a good job. They weren't going to go blind and miss him this time.
Brings up a third down, third and goal for the Lions.
I tell you what, it's a little unusual to run the same play twice, no matter how open, because any defensive back, any defense is going to go, okay, look, we get back in the huddle. Whoever has them, don't make the same mistake twice. And instead, they seem to call the same play twice.
An active and animated Wayne Fonts on the sidelines. Well, he promised to open things up, and he's done that. And the clock down to 4 seconds. Play clock, and this is James Jones tripped up in the backfield. So Green Bay's defense is holding, and Murray having to hurry on the field as you see the game clock ticking away.
Now this really shows whether or not you have your act together, whether or not they can get this off in time. You can watch Ken Stills. He's staying there. He'll stop the clock if he doesn't hurry up. It's just a chip shot. You can see the flag was thrown. I bet you that's some penalty against Green Bay for taking too long to get back on the line of scrimmage. Might have kicked the ball or something.
We have encroachment on the defense, not allowing the offensive team to set half the distance, still fourth down.
Plus it stopped the clock. That's even more important. You see, you can get away with a little bit of, taking your time to get back, but when they think you're intentionally delaying it, then they're going to call a penalty on you. And I think that probably was on number 29, Ken Stills.
A 19-yard field goal attempt by Eddie Murray. He's good from 22 and 37. And he's good from 19. So it's been all Eddie Murray for the Lions in the first half. 3 field goals. Lions on top, 9-0.
You know, the defensive coach, Hank Bola, has to be proud of his defensive unit for preventing a touchdown. On the other hand, you still gave up 3 points, and you're down by more than a touchdown as you go into the second half. I'm assuming that they're just going to squib this kick off so that Infante's kickoff return team doesn't have a good chance to get back the touchdown all the way.
Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Brent Musburger, Irv Cross, and Dick Butkus in New York with the scores and highlights and more. Coming up in just a few moments.
We have to believe so far that Wayne Fonts is very proud of his defense. They've shut out the Packers the first half. They've gotten the running game going. And that is one problem they've really had. As I said earlier, today they have 78 yards so far for the season. They're only averaging 72.8. The 2 games that they won this year, they had over 100 yards rushing. Once you establish a running game, once you make a defense have to change their alignment to stop the run, it opens up the play-action passes. It allows you to get more yards in the passing game. You know, Rusty Hilger's done a good job today. Control passing. They said if he didn't do well, they're going to bring in Chuck Long real quick, but so far they haven't needed him.
And a low kick by Murray. Nelson picks it up. This is it back to Fullwood. And Fullwood across the 30 and scoots his way across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. But that'll be the end of the first half. And the Lions, playing inspired, lead it by the score of 3. Make that 9-0.
CBS Sports cover.
So far, so good for Wayne Fonts, gentlemen, with Dick Butkus and Irv Cross. I'm Brent Musburger. Let's take everybody to the scoreboard right now. How about this? Down in the House of Pain, 17-7, the Oilers over the Cardinals. Jerry Glanville in his customary black on the sidelines. And here was some pain being inflicted by Alonzo Highsmith. Neil Lomax not playing for the Cardinals, out today because of an injury. Dick, what about quarterback Warren Moon of the Oilers?
Well, there was some concern whether he can throw long, you know, a nice arching ball. What's this, 50 yards? So I guess they're not concerned with his long ball anymore.
Exactly, and Stout was able to rally the Cardinals. They didn't have a single first down in the game, and then bingo, he gets them on the scoreboard, hitting A-Walt 52 yards, and now it is 17-7. Switching over to the Bengals, coming off that tough loss of a week ago, they lead the Cowboys 14-3. Cleveland all over the Steelers. That's 17-7 at the half. Jets and Buffalo figured to be a very low-scoring game, and then nasty weather conditions in Buffalo. 3-0 right now, the Jets with the lead. Indianapolis and Minnesota, and the Vikes here are settling for 2 field goals, and that's their lead over the Red Hot Colts. Chicago and Tampa Bay. The Bears, in impressive fashion, have taken a 21-6 lead on the Buccaneers. Ditka on the sidelines, only 18 days after suffering that mild heart attack. What about Testaverde, Irv?
Not having a very good day, Brent. So far, he's thrown the ball 13 times, completed 4 and 1 interception. There it is right there. Mike Singletary picked it off.
You know the replacement for Walter Payton, Neil Anderson? Folks, he is an emerging star. Scored 2 touchdowns on the day. There's his first one. And then the fullback from Stanford, the #1 draft choice. What about Brad Muster?
Brent, one of the things the Bears wanted to do today was dominate the game by running. Here they have a run-pass combination on a screen pass. Brad Muster, the #1 pick, as you said, takes the ball, goes to the far sideline, and rambles in 40 yards out for the touchdown.
All right. Now, elsewhere, the game you're watching from Milwaukee, 9-0. Wayne Fonts, in his coaching debut, called an interim coach. He says, no interim with me. I'm going for the job, and he's getting it done defensively, Dick.
Well, you know, the Green Bay people were really excited about this game because they play well in Milwaukee. But, unfortunately for them, they get the news Wayne Fonts is the new coach, and then they became really concerned. And rightly so. They're, you know, 9 points behind now.
It gives them a good shot having Fonts on the sideline.
Well, anytime you get a new coach like that, I think it puts the shot. And the players like Wayne. I mean, he's a fire-up guy, and they're going to respond.
All right, we'll see what happens in the second half of that one. Meanwhile, also in the AFC, Kansas City plays pretty well at home, beat Cincinnati a week ago, lead the Seahawks 14-7. This is Thanksgiving week. So a reminder of our traditional Turkey Day on Thursday, and we will take the air at noon Eastern Time, half hour earlier than normal. Then you'll see Minnesota and Detroit. Oh, yes. You will also see Julia Child teach our Dick Butkus how to truly carve up a turkey. And we look forward to that, and we will continue right after these messages from your local stations.
Back here in Milwaukee, 3 Eddie Murray field goals account for the margin. Lions lead at 9-0. And Gary, going back to our theme at the top of the show, the fact that the Lions players said, hey, this is their second season. Had they played inspired ball in the first half, according to your analysis?
Well, I think the defense has played very well. Anytime you can shut out a team for a half, you played well. But the offense has established the running game, and then they've made some big plays downfield. And that's really the key for them, that they've played under control, but they've established that running game. And you take a look here, and the defense has really held for Detroit, held the Green Bay offense to 43 yards rushing. Neither team has exploded offensively, but I think Detroit's doing what they want to do. They want to play aggressive, enthusiastically, and stay within their own limitations. I think that Fonts has done a good job of making him do that in the first half.
Green Bay has not been able to generate much offense, but statistically, Don Mikowski is having a good game so far.
Well, he hasn't thrown for a lot of yards, but he's thrown short, controlled passes, hasn't gotten wild, hasn't taken a lot of risk. But again, right now they're down 9-0. If Detroit should score another touchdown, then they're going to put Mikowski in the position that he doesn't want to be in, and that means he has to throw the ball when the Detroit defense knows it, and they'll be coming at him really hard, and it's going to create a situation to be very difficult for him.
Well, if Detroit has played inspired football in the first half, Green Bay has got to be inspired by the fact that they're only down 9-0.
Well, I don't know if they're inspired by that. Infante's probably saying, hey, guys, it's our game if we want to play, but we're not playing well enough offensively. And defense, you got to create a turnover for us.
All right, CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Start of the second half here in Milwaukee County Stadium. Lions lead at 9-0, and although the temperature is still the same as it was at the start of the game, can't tell that by looking at the fans. That's because they haven't had much reason to jump up and down. 38 degrees, wind 14 miles per hour. Right now, things are going in the direction of the Detroit Lions.
Let's face it, those fans are a lot happier than if it would snowed out here. It was 20 below zero. And it's going to get nothing but colder from now on. You know, Darryl Rogers didn't like the cold. And I was talking to some of the guys from Detroit. They said, you know, you guys go outside or do you use the Silverdome to practice in? And they said, oh, no, Darryl Rogers, he didn't like to go outside. He didn't like the cold. You know, it's kind of tough to coach in the NFC Central Division, with the exception of Tampa Bay, if you don't like cold weather.
In order to give the players a realistic feel of what to expect come Sunday. Eddie Murray to kick off for the Lions. Fullwood and Woodside. This is Woodside at the 6. Across the 20. Woodside. Good return. Run out of bounds at the 29 by Raphael Cherry. 23-yard return by Keith Woodside. Well, who's Don Mikowski been throwing to?
You know, those wide receivers, there's only one wide receiver for Green Bay this year that's caught a touchdown pass, but you can see that he's hitting the backs. He's using good distribution. It's part of Infante's system. A lot of different formations, let everybody share in the offense, but they can't get the ball downfield enough, and that's the big problem. I mean, they need some big plays to get some enthusiasm going, get the crowd up, and just get some points on the board.
1st and 10 at the 29 of Green Bay. Mikowski back to pass on first down. And it's complete as Chris Spielman ropes up Keith Woodside.
You know, Woodside is a great little back for them. He's really been a pleasant surprise, although when you're drafted that high, I guess you're not as surprised, but you don't really count on rookies making too big of a contribution. You know, Mikowski last year had 323 yards passing against Detroit. First time a rookie in a Green Bay uniform has passed for over 300 yards in a game, so he must feel pretty confident going against this defense.
5-yard pass play makes it 2nd and 5. Patrick Scott in motion. Mikowski looking for Woodside. He's got him for the first down. Woodside tries to pick up another yard or two up to the 44-yard line. Stopped by Chris Spielman.
Well, they must feel okay. Look at his helmet. He's got his helmet taped. He can't hear those audibles too well. Uses white tape, cover up those ear holes. Doesn't want the wind going through it. You know, I see a lot of guys do that for practice, but I don't see many guys do that for a game.
Good numbers for Keith Woodside there. 5 catches for 41 yards. 1st and 10 for Green Bay at their own 45. Just underway in the second half here. Mikowski complete to Sterling Sharp for yet another first down. So Sterling Sharp Pushed out of bounds by Bruce McNorton, a 15-yard pickup. Mikowski to Sharp.
Well, I guess they made a decision that they can work one side of the Detroit defense that's just playing zone, and you can see they clear out, and then he just makes a little out move, and McNorton's playing him loose. And you know, McNorton is kind of a cornerback who does play loose in his style. And when you look at Mikowski at the end of this play, and he kind of goes off stumbling and landed wrong, and he kind of came up limping after that play.
Green Bay in Detroit territory for only the 3rd time in the game. And flags are thrown everywhere to stop the play. Fred Silva has been staying pretty busy today, at least caucusing and conferencing.
All right, they really go to great lengths to make sure they have the right call.
Offense, full start, 5 yards, no first down.
Well, we haven't talked about
Rich Moran
much, and there you are, Rich. That's 5 yards against you, put the mouth guard back in, and it's too bad. You know, we don't have an opportunity enough to really give him enough credit. And you watch Moran, he's the 2nd guy in at left guard. Boy, I'll tell you what, I don't see him move much, but
only takes a little.
Very little, obviously.
1st and 15 for the Packers. Kemp and Sharp split wide. And Mikowski finds Sharp, and Sharp's got the first down. So Don Mikowski, looking initially for Perry Kemp, had to come back to Sharp, stopped by Devon Mitchell. 16-yard pass play.
Well, I talked to Lindy Infante, and he said, yeah, we have to get this guy more involved in the offense, but, you know, he's going to be a good player, but you got to find the holes. You got to know how to become a pro, and he knows this. He gets the ball, he puts his head down, and gets some yardage. And I have to believe with all these receivers getting hurt that you're going to hear his number more and more.
1st and 10 for the Packers at the 30 of the Lions. 12:46 left in the 3rd. And Mikowski in and out of the arms of Patrick Scott, who was hit hard as soon as the ball arrived there.
Yeah, but there's no excuse for not catching those balls. And, you know, they're running these little delay routes. You know, if you're a defensive back and you see this guy, he just jogs downfield, you figure he's not in the pattern. Mikowski finds some time, and then he sees him and throws it off. But, you know, you got to hold on to the ball, or you're not going to give your quarterback much confidence to want to look for you very often. See, this ball is easily catchable, and feels or hears some footsteps coming his way.
Makes it 2nd and 10. Which side to the top of your screen? And Mikowski in and out of the hands once again of another receiver. This time it's Ed West, the big tight end.
I'll tell you, the crowd doesn't like it because they want a pass interference call. That time they went with a 5-man rush, which means you're going to have man-to-man coverage, which means somebody gets open, they're going to get the ball. Mikowski sees Ed West, a big target, number 86, and well, I'll tell you, it looked to me like Benny Blades tripped him up, and that should have been pass interference. Got away with something.
Don Mikowski, 13 of 19 for 123 yards. 3rd down for the Pack. 3rd and 10. And Mikowski finds Kemp. And Kemp, face mask penalty that time.
I mean, there were flags all out of every single pocket on that one.
Benny Blades will be the culprit.
I mean, Fred Silva threw his flag from 25 yards away. They were showing blitz. It was man-to-man coverage. Everybody manned up. You just have to beat your guy. And maybe Fred Silva, the head referee, saw something else, but
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 36, 15-yard face mask, here, first down.
Well, they got 2 15-yard penalties. You either take the 15 for roughing the passer. You watch Patrick Scott coming across here. It's man-to-man coverage. Look at that pick by the other wide receiver. Gets him open and then grabs over. And if you hold on to it and make the tackle that way, oh my God. That's how you break a neck. And well, that's clearly 15 yards. You can see here, there's no doubt, when a defensive back goes over and feels that face mask, well, you got to let go. And, well, that's a vicious tackle.
I tell you, Kemp was awfully lucky to come away without a serious injury on that play, completely twisted around.
And really, that's just a dirty tackle there. You can't let anybody get away with something like that.
First and 10, ball at the 10. So make that first and goal. Forward.
You know, James, they can still, I guess the ball was marked just outside the 10-yard line, so they can still get a first down at about the half-yard line.
Blade and Ball made the tackle.
Boy, what they've got to do, which they didn't do last week, they've got to score now that they have the opportunity.
Gary, that had to be frightening even for you as a DB to see Kemp get completely twisted around.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you grab someone like that, you know you've got the face mask. You can't do it.
2nd and 7. Ball marked at the 8. This is McCaskey. Back to pass. Intended receiver, Sterling Sharp. George Jameson was in on the coverage that time as well.
Now they have a big opportunity here. Either score or do you have to go for the 3 points. They've had problems scoring. They've got to get it in here to knock this score from 9-0 down to 9-7. That time they had someone open. You can see that they've only scored 1 touchdown their last 48 possessions. I mean, that's a lot of misses.
And as you mentioned, Gary, Green Bay has got to get the ball inside the 1 for a first down. This is 3rd down. Scott in motion. McCaskey under pressure. Sack. Keith Ferguson.
I got to tell you,
Ferguson made the tackle.
he looked downfield and there just wasn't anybody open. They were running some type of combination. It looked like a little bit of a zone, and maybe they're doubling someone, but there just flat out wasn't anybody open for him to throw to. So he's looking to his right, now he's looking to his left. He can feel the rush. There's nowhere to go. Ferguson makes the sack. And they have to settle for the field goal, or at least they hope they get 3.
Dale Dawson missed a 36-yarder earlier. This is a 32-yarder, and this one is good. So Dale Dawson puts the Pack on the board finally. Comes at 10:57 of the 3rd quarter. Pack trails 9-3. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, home of the Milwaukee Brewers, Milwaukee Bucks, and part-time the Green Bay Packers. And a unique stadium here, County Stadium.
It's the only stadium in the NFL where both teams are on the same side. We talked to Lindy and Fonte last night. He said, you know, it's kind of difficult because you can only go down to the 50-yard line, so it's not easy to spot the ball. Is it 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1? Also have to get your guys in quicker.
Dawson kicking off. Taken at the 10 by Perry Kemp. And Kemp across the 25.
Returned by 81 Starring.
Make that Stephen Starring, who takes it across the 25 to about the 27. Coming up next Friday here on CBS, it'll be Alabama and Auburn. Battle. Big SEC battle. Good ball players playing in that one as well, Gary.
Well, you'll be probably a first pick. Not the #1 pick maybe, but certainly in the first round. Derek Thomas, a linebacker from Alabama. SEC football. Tough boys with an accent.
1st and 10 at the 27. Lions leading it 9-3. In motion, Carl Bland. The handoff to Scott Williams. And Ken Stills trying to give Johnny Holland a little hand there on the tackle.
Holland made the tackle.
Yeah, Ken Stills, the missile, number 29. Talked to some of the guys down with the Bears. They may have some other names for him, but he's a tough player. And I'll tell you, both safeties. Murphy's not playing today. You know, he had a hamstring pull. I congratulate him before the game on having enough speed to pull his hamstring. But Ken Stills and he have really come up with some big turnovers, both fumble recoveries and interceptions this year.
3-yard gain makes it 2nd and 7. Ball marked at the 30 for the Lions. Hilton, a handoff to Jones. Jones looking for room and runs into Brian Noble, and Noble picks him up and slams him down.
Well, Harris likes it, but Noble last week had a great game. 12 tackles against the Colts, stopped Eric Dickerson. That whole defense did. And they feel that they can definitely play better against these running backs in Detroit, because they're certainly not the running backs that you see in Indianapolis. They've got an injured player down. It's a little DB. I don't know which one it is.
Well, while they attend to him, we'll take a break here. Battle of the field goal kickers. Detroit leading it right now. Ken Stills was the injured player. He left the field under his own power. This is 3rd and 6 for the Lions. Ball at their own 31. And Hilger's pass incomplete. Now there's a late penalty flag thrown.
I think they're going to call illegal use of the hands against John Anderson. He knocked down James Jones. The ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage. You see everybody trying to get their 5 cents in.
We had a defensive pass. We had a defensive pass interference, but the ball was tipped at the line, so there's no foul. Fourth down.
Pretty self-explanatory.
You watch Blaze Winter, number 68, in the middle of your screen, leaps up in the air and tips up the ball. I tell you, Rusty didn't get much air in that ball. If you can have Blaze Winter coming down from his jump and tip it.
Jim Arnold in the punt for the Lions. Sterling Sharp back deep for the Packers. And Arnold pushes Sharp back. Did he down it?
No way. I'll tell you what, there was a great opportunity for the Detroit Lions to get them inside the 5, and you can't slide in and have your body in the end zone, which is exactly what happened.
And that's Bruce McNorton.
And Bruce McNorton is a veteran. He should know better. Watch, you have to be very careful here. You've got to tip the ball with one hand, but you can't slide in and have your feet slide into the, boy, I tell you what, you can't have your body in the end zone and do that and get the ball on the 1-yard line. Big opportunity to keep them in the hole, and instead they get it out of the 20.
Cost his team about 20 yards of territory. Would have been a 69-yard punt by Arnold. My goodness. 1st and 10 at the 20 for the Pack. Mikowski complete to Woodside. Woodside across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. Dennis Gibson on the tackle. Milwaukee County Stadium. NFC Central Division battle between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Along with Gary Fensick, I'm James Brown, and it's been a battle of the field goal kickers. Low-scoring affair. And you see the time remaining in the 3rd quarter.
2nd and 3.
2nd and 3 for the Pack. Out of the I formation. Hand off to Woodside, and Woodside runs into a pile. Late flag.
Woodside carries.
George Jamison on the stop.
And yet another flag. So far this game has probably been characterized by penalties, and you see there the face mask.
Number 58, face mask, 5 yards. It'll be a 1st down.
Well, there have been a lot of face mask calls so far. Benny Blades with a blatant one, and there by Jamison. Keeps drives away. Those are the kind of mental errors that coaches hate to see. Detroit likes playing here in Green Bay, or correct me, in Milwaukee, because they've got a crowd. I mean, they had 26,000 people in Detroit last week. Seemed like a preseason game. They like the energy and excitement that a crowd will give you, whether it's home or away at this point.
Don Mikowski back to pass on 1st down. He finds Sharp for yet another first down. Sharp across midfield to about the 42-yard line. Bruce McNorton on the tackle. And Sterling Sharp looking sharp. A 26-yard pass play from Mikowski to Sharp.
You know, you got to give credit to the offensive line because they're giving Mikowski time to find the first receiver, the second receiver. You see, he feels comfortable back there right now. He's going to find the hole in the zone. Throws it to a rookie, catches the ball, and you know, you can feel that Sterling Sharp suddenly is going to start getting into this game, that he feels confident that he wants to get the ball. And you see, he's one of the top receivers, rookie receivers in the league.
First and 10 at the 41 of Detroit. Play action. Mikowski gets away in a hurry. Intended receiver was Ed West, and there is a very late flag thrown from back near the end zone. And Benny Blades complaining once again.
Benny Blades likes to play very aggressively.
Defense, number 36, pass interference.
A little too aggressive.
But let me tell you something. When you're a defensive back, and the last series he got an intentional face mask call, they're going to start looking for you. And he got away, I think, with one earlier similar to this, except on the other side of the field. And this time they said, no, we're going to get you. And, you know, now you got 2 penalties against you. You better believe it. They're going to see your number more and more, so you got to lay off a little bit.
First and 10 for Green Bay at the 36 of Detroit. 7:08 remaining in the third. Mikowski sacked from behind. Loose ball. And Detroit comes up with a big defensive play. George Jamison.
Boy, here has been the bugaboo for the Packer offense all season long.
Jamison applying the pressure.
And that time they got pressure on him. He gave up the ball, and now Detroit on the ball at the 50-yard line.
First down for the Lions at that spot.
You know, this is just pressure. They went to the well maybe one too many times, and Colford clearly beats Rutgers and causes the fumble, and Detroit's got the ball.
First and 10 at midfield for the Lions. To pass on first down. Complete to Jeff Chadwick for the first down at the 36.
Chadwick made the reception.
You know, one of the things you want to do when you're an offense, okay, guys, you got the ball, you made a big play, but we got to do something with it. I kind of like that call because rather than just giving it up the middle for a few yards, you're attacking, you know. You're putting the defense, you're putting pressure on them because they know, hey, we've got to stop it because our offense hasn't been very productive. They know they have to make some big plays to turn the ball over.
Lions have the ball at the 36 of the Packers. Lions on top by 6. First and 10. And Hilton has the pass batted down.
Incomplete pass.
You know, they got a good job there again by the defensive line for the Packers, putting pressure on him. Tim Harris and the other 3 normal down linemen. Hilger looking, and boy, I'll tell you what, good job there. With number 79, Bob Nelson. Blaze Winter did it the last series. Now Bob Nelson coming in for Blaze Winter does it this series. You know, to me that means that your offensive line's backing up too much and not giving you enough room to throw downfield.
Second and 10 for the Lions at the 36 of Green Bay. James and Jones in the backfield. And this is James. And James backs his way into the first down. Good alert play on the part of Gary James, knowing where he was on the field. Ron Pitts on the stop.
Minnesota trying to stay up with the Chicago Bears.
First down.
Doing a good job. Phoenix having a hard time without Neil Lomax. Boy, this is a big series for the Packer defense. Really had the momentum until that turnover.
First and 10 at the 24 of the Packers. Bland in motion. Bill just slipped a little bit. This is Bland. And Bland Did the Packers recover?
Carl Bland fumbled on the play.
I'll tell you what, I saw one referee, he pointed to the ground, but...
And it looks like the Packers did recover, so Bland coughs up the ball on the reverse, and Green Bay comes away with the fumble recovery.
Ron Pitts recovers the fumble.
Give the credit to Ron Pitts.
You know, there's something about Ron Pitts. He's only started 2 games. Now he's in at right cornerback position. In the 2 games he started, he had 2 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries. Seems to be one of those guys who truly has a nose for the ball, and Bobby Bland comes in and gets stuck, and there's the ball just laying on the ground. And you know, the Packer defense had to come up with a big play, and they did it. Got the turnover.
So the first Detroit turnover of the game gives the Packers the ball at their own 20. 6 minutes remaining in the third. Woodside in motion. And McCaskey complete to Woodside.
Pass completion to Woodside.
Woodside at about the 24. Dennis Gibson on the tackle.
Well, if you're a Detroit Lions defense now, you start looking, going, hey, they seem to have abandoned the running game. So now we've got to adjust our defense to take advantage of what they're giving us, and what we have to do is stop the short passes without giving up the big ones. The guys up front know, okay, we're going to start thinking mentally more pass rush than worrying about the run.
2nd and 5 for the Packers. Patrick Scott in motion. And McCaskey finds Woodside again for the first down. And Keith Ferguson is going at it. Look to be fighting with Rich Moran.
Just have a little fun out there.
Big elbow type fun.
First down.
Now, as I said earlier, they play again in 2 weeks, so no matter what happens, you can get revenge in 2 weeks, but you shouldn't do it until then.
Woodside, decidedly better game. 8 catches for 59 yards. Really making amends for last week's game. 1st and 10 for the Pack at the 32. Kemp in motion. This is Woodside again. And Woodside outruns the pursuit from behind. Run out of bounds by Chris Spielman.
Spielman forced him out of bounds.
Now, if you see Jerry Ball coming at you, I think you can pick up a couple of extra miles per hour.
Yeah, but you're Keith Woodside, you don't have to worry. I mean, if he can catch you from behind, you better just go put yourself back on the bench, because the guy who weighs over 300 pounds is not going to catch a rookie running for his life. No way.
But I'm sure it was the thought of 300 pounds falling on him.
I'll tell you what, when he falls on you, you really literally can take the breath away from you if you're at the bottom of the pile.
2nd and 5. Green Bay at its own 36. 4:33 remaining in the third quarter. Pack trailing by 6. McCaskey to Sharp, first down. Sharp across midfield to about the 47-yard line. Jerry Holmes on a stop. A 17-yard pass play from McCaskey to Sharp.
You know, as I said, boy, when a receiver gets hot, you can just feel it from the stands. And right now, Sterling Sharp, he feels, hey, give me that ball. I can beat any of the cornerbacks out there. And not only that, he's big enough because he weighs over 200 pounds. It keeps on running. Has the strength almost to pull away, and was 1 foot away from continuing down the sideline. This is one of those guys, he likes to smile a lot. You know, he's one of these guys you hate to see if you're a defensive back, because no matter how you hit him, he's always laughing.
Green Bay in Detroit territory, specifically the 46, 1st and 10. McCaskey under pressure. Flag thrown on the play as McCaskey throws it to the sidelines.
You know, as I said, that flag on the play. Those guys up front, they say, okay, look, you know, they're not really running the ball much, so now we're going to start thinking pass rush, and these play-action passes don't really hold them as they normally would.
Number 58, holding, 10 yards, no first down.
Mark Cannon, 9th Green Bay penalty of the afternoon.
I see McCaskey here scrambling for his life, wisely throws it out of bounds. And it's one of the things that a young quarterback has to remember to do. Don't take the sack, just throw it out of bounds. It doesn't matter.
Spielman and Jameson both putting serious pressure on McCaskey. First and 20. pack. Great defensive play that time by Benny Blades, intended receiver Perry Kemp. Now you got to give Blades a little bit of credit for sticking with it.
Well, first of all, you know, he's going to be a great defensive back. He got his first interception of the year today, and you know, Benny Blades has great speed, or he wouldn't have been picked as high as he was. He's man for man, right with Perry Kemp, makes a nice break, and he can just see, look, oh, golly, if I had gotten that one, I could have just strolled onto the end zone, done my dance, whatever they do. He's a great player, or will be one.
Word is out that he hits like Gary Fencer. 2nd and 20 for Green Bay. Ball off at its own 44. Mikowski going up top for Kemp. And Benny Blades, at the last moment, got a shoulder pad on the ball.
Well, it looks like to be the Benny Blades show, you know? They're going to say, okay, we're going to pick on a strong safety who shouldn't be able to stay up man for man with a wide receiver. But this guy's ready to play.
He's rising to the challenge.
He's got the speed. And not only that, you got to watch. I mean, he's running, and at the last second turns around, bats the ball up in the air, and almost goes to Devon Mitchell for an interception. So now you've got in a bad situation. You're 3rd and 20. You know, I tell you what, they'll be coming from the defensive line.
And Green Bay only 2 of 7 third down conversions. 4 wideouts in for the Packers. And Mikowski throwing in the direction of Sterling Sharp, but he was under pressure.
Well, he wasn't like that. They were almost in a prevent defense. They were just laying back. It looked like the end of a 2-minute drill, at the end of a half or a game. And kind of tough to find an open receiver when everybody's just laying back.
Now, it looks like Lindy Infante is telling Sharp, you should have curled back on that play, and that's exactly what Mikowski told Infante. Seems like Sharp agrees.
Next time.
And Brackett gets it away. This is Carl Bland at his own 15 up to about the 25-yard line. So Detroit will take over. 41-yard punt, 10-yard return. Wayne Fonts trying to get started on a winning note for the Detroit Lions. His team leads Green Bay by 6, 9-3, and it's been the battle of the punters. Let's take a look at NFC East action. Houston beating up on Phoenix. My goodness, 31-14. Cincinnati big over Dallas thus far. First and 10 for Detroit at its own 25. Bland in motion. Hilger looking to go up top for Jeff Chadwick. Incomplete. And I mentioned the NFC East. Things definitely not decided in that division. The Giants and the Cardinals all tied up, as is the case with Washington and Philadelphia.
Well, Giants have not been playing well, but they don't have the strongest schedule in the NFL. But Phoenix, without Neil Lomax, it's tough to win in Houston with him. But without him for 5 or 6 weeks, it might take him right out of the picture. Philadelphia has a big opportunity today to get to the top, playing the Giants later on.
And, of course, Washington plays San Francisco in Monday night action. 2nd and 10 for the Lions. 3:02 remaining. Lions on top, 9-3. Hilger the handoff to Gary James. And James up around the 27-yard line, pickup of about 2. Tim Harris on the stop. Let's check with Brett Musburger in New York.
Well, James, when the day began, there were a lot of rumors about Warren Moon couldn't go along. He's already thrown a 50-yarder, and then he comes back to Gibbons, 30-yarders. Not bad for a guy with a sore hose, huh? Back to James.
All right, Brent, I agree with you. Warren Moon's first day back, he whipped out a 50-yard pass, so he can definitely uncork it. 3rd and 7. Hilger pumping, complete to Gary James for the first down. But Gary James hauls in the pass at the 40-yard line, touched by John Anderson.
You know, we have to give Rusty Hilger some credit. He's having a good afternoon, staying within himself, knowing his limitations, looking, and finally finds a man wide open right in front of him. But, you know, Hilger's only been here 5 weeks, and he knows that Chuck Long is healthy, and if he doesn't play well, he knows he'll be back on the bench.
Hilger 10 of 19 for 119 yards. First and 10. Ball at the Detroit 41. This is James. And James straight ahead to about the 44.
You know, I talked to Chuck Long, and Chuck told me a story that isn't too funny if you're a Detroit Lion player, but he said that he watched Hilger against the Chicago Bears in the Silverdome in Detroit, and Hilger had to back away from the line of scrimmage because the Bear fans were so loud up there he couldn't hear. And he said, talk about embarrassing. Talk about embarrassing. But he sees he's healthy, feels good, says he's ready to go, but they don't want to push it because he did have a knee injury, and you get him in there too quickly and he'll be hurt again.
Second and 8 from the 43. Under a minute remaining in the third quarter. Jones across the 45 to the 47.
Well, they wanted to establish that running game. You got to give the ball to their running backs to do that. And the 2 games, as we said, that they've won, they've had over 100 yards. It's so important to establish that running game. You don't want to be in predictable passing situations, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 12 all the time. You get that going, and you also keep the other offense off the field. You get that time of possession, makes your defense look a lot better.
Nickel situation for the Pack defense on 3rd and 3. This will be the last play of the third quarter. And Stephen Starring was the intended receiver. It'll be the last play apparently for the Lions as it brings on a punting situation.
You know, Stephen Starring was picked up several weeks ago. He was traded from New England, went down to Tampa Bay, was released, and now he's been up here. And drop balls like that, and you'll be going somewhere else. You know, it gets into this point of the season where if you don't produce right away, you don't get many chances to reprieve yourself.
Jim Arnold will punt for the Lions with 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Sterling Sharp back deep for the Lions, for the Packers.
And you know, Bruce McNorton got fooled. He got fooled. He could have had a chance to stop it, but he didn't.
Well, that's the end of the third quarter with the score. Detroit 9, Green Bay 3.
The end of the third period.
Well, it's been the Dale Dawson, Eddie Murray show. Right now, Eddie Murray ahead, 9-3. Start of the fourth quarter here in Milwaukee. James Brown along with Gary Fensick. And if you had to give Wayne Fonts a grade through the first 3 quarters, enthusiasm on the part of his Lions.
Well, they're winning, but they haven't won. And they've done a good job of keeping the Packer offense deep in their own territory for most of the game.
Packers starting at their own 20 here. Starting the fourth quarter. Mikowski on first down. And Paul Caruth on the reception that time.
Well, a lot of pressure on Mikowski. And take a look here. He's been sacked 3 times, but 3 hurries and knockdowns and the batted balls and the interceptions. You know, I think under those conditions, he's been doing a pretty good job. You know, it's very difficult when you lose Walter Stanley and Phil Epps, and you got all these young receivers, and you got a new offense. Not an easy job.
2nd and 2. Patrick Scott in motion. This is Woodside. And Woodside maybe back to the line of scrimmage.
We ran into those interior linebackers, Chris Spielman and Dennis Gibson, and you know, I talked to Spielman, and you know, he's a one tough rookie guy.
Intense.
I mean, intense. I couldn't believe how intense he is. I was really surprised. He goes, you know, some guys think about football 6 months a year. He says, I think about football every single day of the year. And I believe it. I really believe. You can't help but believe it when he's there. And you can see the impact that he's had, Benny Blades and Pat Carter, on this team.
3rd and 2. Green Bay 2 of 8 in third down conversions. McCaskey inside handoff to Karuk, and Karuk coughs the ball up. And it's recovered by Green Bay. Good hustle by Rutgers.
They got a break there because Detroit tried to pick the ball up rather than just jumping on it. Well, they would have had a big fumble recovery there. You know, 2 of 8 against a team that the Detroit Lions are only stopping teams 48% of the time. And you take a look at there's an easy pickup by Jameson. And Kent Rutgers alertly comes over and picks it up. Teams that converted 48% on third down against Detroit, and the Packers are not having a good day against them.
And instead of great field position on the fumble recovery, Don Bracken is in the punt for the Packers. This is Carl Bland. Takes it at the 42. And pushed out of bounds at the 47. We'll return after this word from your local station. Lions have done a pretty good job of keeping the fans here in Milwaukee out of the game. That because the Lions enjoy a 9-3 lead. You see the time remaining in the fourth quarter, 12:42. First and 10 for Detroit. Ball marked at their own 48. James, the ball carrier, as he pushes across midfield. 3 hard-earned yards by Gary James. For the Green Bay defense, you won't see Dave Brown in there.
Second and 7.
Dave Brown left the game a little earlier with a bruised back. And we have yet to see Dave Brown. Gary James, of course, received the blow to the head, but he's been back in there for the Detroit Lions. Second and 7. All in Green Bay territory at the 49. Wilson, the handoff to Tony Page. And Page bullying his way.
Tony Page,
About a half a yard shy of the first down marker. Brian Noble. A little bit of help from Mark Lee.
You know, Detroit now has over 100 yards rushing, and they're really controlling the ball. They've got good field position. Got the ball around the 50-yard line to start off this series, and the one thing they don't want to do is make any mistakes right now. They had an opportunity last series to take the ball down the field, and Bland got hit, fumbled the ball, and boy, they can just get one touchdown now. They feel they really got control of the game.
3rd and 1, and Sanders in as an eligible receiver again. Extra tight end, power formation. This is Gary James, and James straight into the middle of the pile.
It's close. Mountain of humanity, several thousand pounds on top of it.
Gary, you really driven the point home about how the rushing game of Detroit has improved considerably in this game alone.
It's one of the things they really felt they had to do is, you know, untrack that game, that running game, and big offensive line. Have a lot of confidence in Lomas Brown and Linchek and Harvey Salem. I think, you know, there was so much criticism back in Detroit about play selection, and what they're doing, what they're not doing, and you know, I think these guys just wanted to run the ball, not be tricky, not be fancy. Well, they had the power up front to just make some holes and let those guys do what they do best, run straight ahead.
And Gary James's straight ahead run that time gives Detroit a first down. 106 yards rushing in today's game against an average of 72 yards.
You know, you get into a situation where you can't run the ball, then you put a lot of pressure on your quarterback, receivers, and everybody else, and on your offensive line, because everybody knows you're going to pass the ball.
Ball at the 42 of Green Bay. 1st and 10 for Detroit. Lone back is James Jones. He's the ball carrier. And Jones, big fellow, was slammed backwards that time. John Anderson doing the honors.
You know, they did though that time, is that they put out one back to the left and then 2 wide receivers to the right. It takes one of those linebackers, at least he has to walk away a little bit, so he's not there to make an immediate impact if you run the ball. Trying to isolate him right now, and one of the problems they had last year, and this year and every year really, in recent memory, is their ability to run and get any yards on first down.
2nd and 6. Chadwick and Bland to the left. Lone back, James Jones. The This is Jones again. And Jones down near the first down marker.
Jones did a good job that time of stringing out Pat Carter, the tight end, strung out John Anderson, who has to stay outside and keep control. But then you need people to come inside and make the play. And offensive line for Detroit did a good job. And then Jones just stretching it out, picking his hole, and taking it upfield. Take a look at number 87, Pat Carter. He's the tight end, taking out John Anderson, sustaining the block. Noble's coming over, but not in time. Yardage for the Detroit Lion offense.
Good job by the rookie from Florida State. Call it 3rd and 1 for the Lions. Ball marked at the 33 of Green Bay. And James tries to dive for the first down. Let's see where they mark it.
You're looking at me, James, but I can't tell you whether or not he got that first down or not.
Bob Nelson doesn't think so.
Good job then by the Packer defense. You know, they played well all season. They came into this game second, tied with the Jets in the NFL for interceptions. Hank Buller's done an excellent job there. And Fonte's been very pleased with the defensive production this year. Wishes the offense would kind of get the hint and play as well as the defense has. And
well, Wayne Fontes is going to have his team go for it on 4th and 1 out of the power formation. The handoff to James, and James goes up top, and he's still on his feet. Gary James somehow dives over top and stays on his feet. And Ron Pitts prevents a surefire touchdown, an 18-yard run by Gary James. And he'll tell you it's playing.
Well, it's just great individual effort going over the right side of the line. And he's going up. And how he keeps his feet, I don't know, but he knows he's got his feet, and he keeps on running. And Ken Stills makes a nice tackle. Otherwise, he was in for a touchdown. And watch it, he bunts. Is he happy? Can't even keep on his head. Oh, I got to take that off. To scream and yell and encourage him. And he says they're playing for him, and they're playing for him hard today.
1st and 10 at the 16 of the Packers. Tony Page. Page maybe a couple. John Anderson on the tackle.
Well, they've been here before, but they haven't scored a touchdown today because that Packer defense has really been tough when they've had to be. With the score right now, 9-3, a touchdown would loom very large with 7.5 minutes to go in the game. We've got a Packer who looks as though he's injured. Look at Wayne. Wayne, 7 pounds. I think, Wayne, you probably could lose a few more pounds if you wanted to, but he said, you know how hard it is? I wanted this job, not the way I got it, but I got it. Now I've got to do something with it. And I coached in Tampa, and Tampa, I was with an expansion team that lost 26 straight games, so he's been down to the bottom before, and he says, hey, I believe in these guys. I think they respect me, but we got to win. And I know it. You know, I hate that word interim. He was sitting in that chair, and he said, I want to stay here after the season. And every time we talked to him and said interim, I hate that word.
I hate that word.
I don't want to be an interim coach. I want to prove to Mr. Ford and to the fans and to these players that I deserve to stay on as a head coach.
And of course, we've heard a lot of names mentioned as possible coaches up there in Detroit. Chuck Knox, Jerry Glanville, Joe Bugle with the Redskins. Wayne Font says, hey, they've got to come through me. It's my job. But let's see if this team can score. 2nd and 7. Ball marked at the 13 of Green Bay. This is Page again. Page finds a hole. And he's down near the 1-yard line. So Tony Page stopped by Tiger Green. This one-time Page probably was wishing he was a little lighter.
Well, you know, this time, Tim Harris, number 97, goes inside. Robert Brown, number 93, goes outside. Then they make a nice block. And he goes in, and boy, running for tough yardage there. These running backs, look how enthused they are. I mean, I don't think they feel like they've been getting the ball enough. And of course, Page and Williams and some of those backups, they haven't been given as much playing time as they have today, and they're producing.
And Eric Sanders, the eligible receiver, the backs, Tony Page and Scott Williams. 1st and goal, ball at the 1. Williams was the ball carrier. No signal yet.
But you know, the last time they were down here, they first and second down, they tried to throw to Eric Sanders, who came in as an additional tackle, but he was at the tight end position. They threw to him twice, and I got to believe that offensive line's in there going, look, we run it all the way down here. Don't try to pass the ball. We can get it in. Just let us run the ball. Look at Wayne. He doesn't even want to look down that way. You know, he's a defensive coordinator, but he's not calling the plays offensively, so he's just got to rely on Lou Carpenter to call the right play. You look at the end zone right now, Noble's got the fans in the end zone trying to get some noise going.
Second and goal. Power formation out of the eye. Scott Williams and Tony Page, the backs. This is Williams again. And this time Williams makes it across. Touchdown, Green make that Detroit, no flag. So Scott Williams finally takes it across. Third-year player from Georgia. And his fans trying to look a little cool.
I'll tell you what, he's trying to just relax a little bit because he knows that now the ball's going to definitely be in the air. And as I said, they tried to pass last series, and I got to believe that offensive line came off and told them, hey, we can do it. Look at Rich Glover. Hey, they're all happy because they feel that they can control that line of scrimmage, and they have so far this half.
Eddie Murray with the point after. And he's perfect on the year, 18 for 18. And Detroit, with its first touchdown of the afternoon, leads at 16-3. Detroit trying to win the first game of its self-described second season. Eddie Murray, 3 field goals. Good day statistically for Don Mikowski, but Detroit, they've done the job on the ground today, and Wayne Fontes has got his troops playing inspired.
Well, they have a 13-point lead, and now you know what's going to happen. A little over 5 minutes to go in the game, everybody's going to be teeing off. You try to get stats of your defensive back, and the line's going to be putting on the rush, and the Packers have only scored 1 touchdown in their last 52 attempts.
Now, as impressively as Mikowski has played, I guess the question is, do you ever switch? As you take a look at Wayne Fontes on the touchdown run by Scott Williams, do you think in terms of putting a Randy Wright in there simply because Green Bay has not made it in the end zone?
Well, I don't think it's Mikowski. I think he's played pretty well today. They just have to get open, and we'll find out what their thinking is as they go into the last 5 minutes of this game.
And Forward at his own 3 across the 15 to the 19-yard line. So Green Bay will have 5 minutes and 3 seconds to try to get on the scoreboard.
You know, one of the big...
Boy, what a way to get started. The NBA returns to CBS. A rematch of last year's NBA Finals. The Los Angeles Lakers take on the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. And the Pistons are off to an awfully hot start. 8-1, sitting atop the toughest division in the NBA, the Central, while the Lakers sitting atop the Pacific Division. Prime time action next week on CBS. Right now, 5:03 remaining in the contest here. First and 10 for the Packers at their own 19. Trailing by 13 points. And Mikowski tries to dump it across to Perry Kemp. And a very late penalty flag thrown in the backfield.
I think they're going to call for grounding, intentional grounding on that one, James. There wasn't anyone around there. They had a 5-man rush and man-to-man defense. They got their nickel guys in there, and it's only going to get tougher right now.
Illegal pass, intentional grounding, half the distance, second down.
You know, one of the big problems for Green Bay's offense today is that of 9 possessions, they've had an average start on their own 23, so they really haven't gotten any field position at all. You watch Mikowski trying to avoid the rush, and clearly there's no one over there. He's trying to buy time and get out of a difficult situation, but they called grounding, and it was a good call.
Second and 20, ball on the 9 of Green Bay. 4 wideouts in, Mikowski out of the shotgun. Throws it complete to Perry Kemp. Did he hold it long enough? And Perry Kemp looks to have dropped the ball. And indeed, Detroit recovers. So Perry Kemp had it and lost it.
And Benny Blades got it. And Benny Blades had a pretty good day today. An interception, a fumble recovery, and Wayne Fonts celebrating not too early. Still time to go here, but his team is playing with the enthusiasm and the confidence that he wanted them to have. Take a look, they're just dropping back in the zone. Mikowski's just got to make some decisions here. It hits Kemp, and he just gets hit right away by Devon Mitchell, by Griffin. Fumbles it up, Benny Blades picks it up. You know, it's just a catch here that, you know, you got to hold on to the ball. It wasn't a spectacular hit at all. I mean, it's coming through your back a little bit, but you get hit that way all the time. And just seems to be one of those days for the Green Bay Packer offense, and unfortunately, they've had too many of those days in the 1988 season.
Third Green Bay turnover. Green Bay had 4 last week, 3 leading the scores. First and 10 for the Lions. Ball at the 19 of Green Bay. On the ground. Down near the 15-yard line. 4:42 remaining in the game.
Look at Wayne, seems to be telling him, stay on the ground.
That's exactly what Scott Williams did on that carry.
He's just going to grind it out. Try to get a touchdown. Be satisfied with a field goal that would give you a 19-3 lead, but you don't want to do anything that will risk giving up that ball and give the Packers new life. And if you're the Packer defense right now, you've been in this situation too many times, and you got a lot of pride. You don't want to give up any points at all. Got to start trying to strip that ball away from the running backs.
Second down and 7, 2 tight ends in. The backs, Jones and Williams. Misses Williams again. And Williams gets down to near the 14-yard line.
Oh, you little thing.
All they're going to try to do now, I bet you they try to run it to the right if they run it all. Try to get field position right in the middle. You look at today, they've been pretty successful. Only 1 touchdown, but 3 field goals. At least every time they've got inside the 20, they come away with something.
And Green Bay calls a timeout to stop the action, trailing by 13 points. Lions lead it 16-3.
Look at Rusty Hilger, number 12 right there. And, you know, Chuck Long was going to come in if he didn't do the job. And Rusty's really done in a quiet way a very effective game execution for the Lions today. Only 1 turnover for the Lion offense versus 3 for the Packer offense.
10 of 20 for 119 yards, Rusty Hilger. On third down, Scott Williams. And he's going to be short of first down. Tiger Green in on the tackle. 3:31 remaining in the game.
And they're going to bring out a measurement to see just how close he got. I think they'd be happy with 3 points right now, especially with Eddie Murray. Eddie's only missed 1 field goal in 1988, and that was 52 yards out. You got to feel pretty confident that he's going to put it through for 3 if they need him. And boy, it's going to be a tough call. What is Wayne Fonts going to do? He only needs maybe 6 inches. But he decides, no doubt about it, I want the points. Smart. Put it away. And why is he going to do that? Because 19-3 gives him a pretty good lead.
And Murray has been good from 22, 37, and 19.
And it means that the Packer offense would need more than 2 touchdowns to come back and beat Detroit.
So Eddie Murray. In to attempt a 26-yard field goal. As the Lions let the clock run down before setting snap, the hold, the kick, and it's good. So Eddie Murray having a whale of a day. Boots the Lions out in front by 16 points. Tonight on CBS begins with, of course, 60 Minutes. Who is the man being brought into a 60 Minutes interview in chains? He's Jonathan Pollard, the man who gave American military secrets to Israel and he's on 60 Minutes tonight on CBS. That's followed by Murder, She Wrote, and then the CBS Sunday movie, The Diamond Trap, starring Brooke Shields. All of that coming your way tonight on CBS. 3 minutes remaining in the contest, and the Packers, in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, trailing to the Detroit Lions by 16 points. On the other hand,
Forward and Woodside.
Lindy Infante, as he checks over.
Well, that sheet, I think he's gone through about everything he can. And, you know, I was watching Magnum Force with Dirty Harry last night, and last line is a man's got to know his limitations. And right now, the limitations of this Packer offense are pretty obvious to everybody. They're having real problems getting unglued, developing any consistency, too many turnovers, and I don't care how many times he looks at that, it's just got to be frustrating because he's had so much success offensively, and not that he won't hear of it, they just aren't executing that offense.
Forward and Woodside back. This is Woodside at the 13. And a flag is thrown on the play as Woodside takes it across the 20 to about the 22-yard line.
You know, when you get to this point of the season,
Illegal block in the back, above the waist, on the run back, number 99, half the distance.
Start getting to this point of the season and your record starts going further and further in the hole. You start to take a look at who's going to get that first pick and talk to a lot of scouts, and they think it's going to be quarterback from UCLA, Aikman, and Detroit is going to move up. Green Bay is going to go to 2-10. You know, there are only 5 Packers on the active roster today who have ever been in a Packer uniform that had a better than 500 record.
Minnesota comes away victorious over the Indianapolis Colts, 12-3. So Minnesota stays right on the heels of the Chicago Bears in NFC Central Division as McCaskey completes it to Aubrey Matthews. Back up near the original line of scrimmage. Bruce McNorton on the tackle. .234 remaining in the game. And flags are thrown everywhere.
Flags on the play.
Patrick Scott, one of the guilty parties for the Packers.
Well, it's another 5 yards against the Packers, but I think that
Offensive line. False start. 5 yards, still first down.
You know, right now, after this game, Lindy Infante is going to start getting, I think, a little more heat. I think the honeymoon's going to be over. With the press and saying a new coach and everything else, it's time to get down to answering some serious questions. And this offense has just been so unproductive. Failure to score points.
12th penalty of the afternoon on the Packers. McCaskey back to pass on first down. He's got Sterling Sharp again. Well, Sterling Sharp certainly has had one heck of a day. Bruce McNorton pushes him out of bounds.
Tom Fortune to the sheriff's office, please.
Barring a miracle by the Packers, this is the way the Central Division will look. Chicago sitting on top, 10-2, followed by Minnesota, which is playing some excellent football as of recent. Tampa Bay, a loser to Chicago today. Looks like they're 3-9, will be 3-9, along with the Detroit Lions.
Assistant center.
1st and 10 at the 34. And McCaskey going for Sterling Sharp again.
Pass intended for Sharp and complete.
You know, you're talking to Eric Williams, left end for Detroit. He said that you know, it's a new season as far as they're concerned, and they're 1-0 in the new season. You know, they're not happy with the way things went for most of the 3 quarters of the regular season, but now they've got an opportunity with Minnesota on Thanksgiving Day here on CBS, and then Green Bay again, and Chicago and Tampa Bay. You know, they have an opportunity to make their mark, keep a coach, and prove that they're a lot better than they have been all year.
And they've made it clear they want to keep Wayne Fonts. As McCaskey throws complete to Sharp. Enough for the first down, but we're at the 2-minute warning. And Detroit sitting on top comfortably. on the NFL Today post-game show. Brent, Irv, and Dick will have all the scores and highlights, and Brent will be speaking to Boston Celtics president Red Auerbach on the latest on Larry Bird, who, of course, underwent surgery on both of his feet. Probably be out at least 3 months. And adding to the chill of those fans there, the fact that the Packers down by 16 points with 1:56 remaining.
They didn't have a chance to get up one time to cheer for a touchdown today. Makes it a lot colder here in County Stadium.
I have to stand up for a field goal. Mikowski. Complete to Scott.
Another flag down, James. It just wouldn't be a series here without flags.
Flag on the play.
And since they're coming back, it obviously must be against the Packers.
And Scott looked.
Offense, number 75. Holding, 10 yards.
Ken Rutgers. Patrick Scott limping after that play. Took a real solid hit. 13th Green Bay penalty. So take a look at scores from around the league. Chicago comfortably over Tampa Bay. Minnesota, of course, wins against the Colts. Stay 2 behind the Bears. Houston, 38-14 over Phoenix. Cincinnati beating up on the Cowboys, and you like that.
I have to tell you, I'm not the biggest Dallas Cowboy fan, but Cincinnati hasn't done well on the road, and big win for them to stay on top.
1st and 20 for Green Bay at its own 37. Oh, I tell you, just won't make it, will it? Incomplete receiver was Patrick Scott, and he's still limping. Patrick Scott, number 83, still limping from the previous play.
You know, the Packers, this is a tough loss. You get to play Detroit again in 2 weeks, but you play Chicago next week. We know that'll be a tough game. I don't care what the Packers' bare record is. It's going to be a tough one. Then they go to Detroit, have Minnesota, end up in warm weather. I guess that's about the only consolation, because it's going to be a very cold winter for the Green Bay Packers.
1:41 remaining in the contest. Mikowski complete to Kemp across midfield. Not enough for the first down. 16-yard pickup. Benny Blades on the stop. On 3rd down, Mikowski throws it over the outstretched hands of Aubrey Matthews.
I'll tell you what, this was quite a game for Wayne Fonts in his initial season. And 1-0, didn't give up a touchdown. 3 points. It's a great performance. You see him stay back. He doesn't want a cheap one at this point. Wants to come out of this game and be able to shake hands with Russ Thomas, the general manager, meet Mr. Ford and be congratulated. And he deserves to be, because he did a great job, got this team up after losing a head coach, and they played very well today.
On 4th and 4, Mikowski complete to Sharp for the first down. Sterling Sharp inside the 35 to about the 34-yard line. And Gary, you talked a little bit about how Infante would probably have to endure the wrath of the Green Bay press. But honestly, Green Bay just doesn't have the talent.
James, I think they're a lot better than their record. Of course, everybody wants to think they're better. Every team that's in the bottom rung of the NFL this year believes they're better than they've played. But, you know, I have to believe that with the success that he had, but he had quarterbacks who really understood the system. He had Kenny Anderson in Cincinnati, Kosar in Cleveland, and I got to believe that he has the confidence the system can work, but they just have not gotten the breaks. And if then all of a sudden snowballs, you're in trouble.
Coming up on Thanksgiving Day here on CBS, Minnesota and Detroit. And you also want to tune in because Julia Chow, the French chef, will be teaching Dick Butkus the X's and O's of how to tackle a turkey. Noon Eastern time, right here on CBS. 1:04 remaining. Mikowski complete to Kemp. Kemp inside the 30 to about the 27-yard line. Grabbed around the ankles by Bruce McNorton.
They're going to try to hurry up offense. They want to try to score in the last minute of the game.
Aubrey Matthews.
Pass complete to Matthews. First down.
Enough for the first down. And Mikowski hoping to get the Packers into the end zone before the game is over. And it's complete to Larry Mason. And Mason gets inside the 5 with 13 seconds remaining.
Now you look at Wayne Fonts, you know, he knows it doesn't matter, but it does matter to him. You know, he doesn't want to give up that cheap touchdown at the end, and you know, this is their last touchdown, and Mikowski, who's really showed great presence here on this drive, he's gotten good protection from his offensive line, and it's just patient. They're running man-to-man coverage with the safeties deep, and Larry Mason gets open, beating a linebacker, and makes the catch, and here you are. You're inside the 5, and watch Wayne. You know, he's the defensive coordinator as well as the interim head coach, and oh, he just doesn't want to give up that touchdown. You know, this is stat time. They had a great game statistically, and now they've marched down the field, and even though it's cheap yardage, you don't care, but you do care, but you really don't want to give up the touchdown. Green Bay, you know, they ended up on the 2-yard line last week. You know, you got to get into the habit of knowing how to smell the goal line. You know, when Green Bay and Chicago played, the game was clearly out of hand, and Infante called some timeouts, and Ditka retaliated by throwing some bomb patterns, and I asked him, he said, hey, I have got to teach these guys that we're never going to give up. And they're not giving up now. And now it's a good little contest, you know? Defense doesn't want it.
Green Bay only 1 touchdown in the last 53 possessions.
It looks like Detroit called timeout. 13 seconds. Detroit said, hey, they only had, count them out there, I think they might have been short a few guys. They only had 10 guys out there, I think, James. That's probably why they called the timeout.
Don't forget, at the conclusion of today's game, the post-game show. Brent Musburger, Herb Cross, and Dick Butkus. And again, Red Auerbach, president of the Boston Celtics, will be talking with Brent, updating us on Larry Bird. And boy, talk about a big blow to the Celtics. A team that's been slowed by age anyway, and now they lose their star.
I bet you'll be a lot of teams trying to take advantage of jumping on the Celtics.
No question about that. 13 seconds remaining in the game. We talked about this at time. Mikowski, 29 of 42 for 324 yards. He'd like to add a touchdown to that stat. Patrick Scott in motion. Touchdown, Green Bay, no flags. Aubrey Matthews. And it was Matthews last week. He got a touchdown.
He's the only Packer wide receiver to have touchdowns this season, and they came into this game with only 7 touchdown passes, the lowest in the league. Obviously, he must have some feeling of how to get into the touchdown area. I think there was confusion. Obviously, there was confusion when you leave somebody open like that. They had 2 wide receivers to the right, a man in motion, so they ended up with 3 wide receivers, and clearly those defensive backs got confused as to who was going to take who.
Well, Dawson's point after, and it's no good. Now, the touchdown play that Green Bay scored on was a play they were trying to work to execute properly last week against the Colts. And Aubrey Matthews, with that touchdown today, the only 2 touchdowns caught by a wide receiver both have come by Aubrey Matthews. If you take a look at Wayne Fonts, again, like you said, he didn't want them to score at all.
Well, he didn't, but got to be very proud of his team, 19-9. He's probably just relaxing a little bit. You can imagine the pressure on the guy. I mean, he's got another game. He's going to go home, and hey, you got a game on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. But he's very proud of him, and you know, he started with a lot of small things. You know, Wayne said, look, we needed to instill discipline on this team. You know, I care. You know, I really care, and a lot of people didn't think that Darryl Rogers yelled enough. It's not a matter of yelling, but it is a matter of starting with the small little things. He makes the guys wear coat and ties on the plane to the away city. He has lunch brought in so they don't go all over that area at lunchtime, so they do things as a team, and that's very important, because obviously when you're not winning, the team concept has a tendency to break down. When I was with Chicago and Mike Ditka came, he said, you know, you guys are going to do everything as a team. You're going to win as a team, lose as a team. And then we started buying lunches for the defensive players, and he said, no, you're going to buy for the team. It was a good idea, but after a while, nobody bought the lunch anymore. But he brought the point up that that's what you have to do. You have to eat, breathe, and think as a team.
Flag thrown on a play on the onside kick attempt.
I don't think the ball went 10 yards, and I'm not sure who got the ball.
Clock did not start.
Number 29, kicking team. Offside. Decline. First down.
Last week, Ken Stills came up with a big play just like that on an onside kick. Got the chance for the Packers to tie the game and didn't quite do it. You see Lindy's putting away there goes the game plan. Well, he's bringing it out one more time. He couldn't even stuff it up his jacket. But someday he'll probably be able to laugh about this season, but there are no grins today, that's for sure.
And the Lions will run off the clock and improve their record to 3-9, while the Pack drops to 2-10. And Wayne Fonts, in what he described as his second season, the team's second season, his first 5 games exactly, comes away with win number 1.
You know, Lindy Infante came over, class act that he is, and congratulated Wayne, and they all recognize the pressure that a coach has on him, particularly in this difficult time, and that was Howard Tippett in a Green Bay uniform who coached with him down in Tampa Bay. And if you're a Minnesota Viking fan, look out, because now Thanksgiving Day is going to be an important game for both teams, and the Lions will be ready.
Our final score is Detroit 19, Green Bay 9. Don't forget, the NFL Today post-game show is coming up in just a moment.